Hello, everyone. Welcome to a solo live stream. Yes, on this chilled Wednesday evening to talk all things B&M related. Yes, I've finally completed the quest of finding this year's summer B&M sets, which has been quite a task actually trying to find all these sets. It's probably been the longest quest to find these sets, despite them only being 4 sets, because this has been quite a small group of, well, a small wave of B&M sets, all things considered. But I believe in October we've got more Doctor Who figures coming out, which is very exciting. Hello, Stylish One. How are you on this fine Wednesday? I don't think many people have gone to join because it's on a Wednesday, and I just thought I'd do a spontaneous live stream just to give my final thoughts on some of the recent B&M sets, really, and just have a nice little chill chat about it. Favorite background from the new sets? Oh, that's a good question. I think my favorite probably the Day of the Daleks one, because I think that's got the most Easter eggs. Like the Ogre from the Stone to Blood, and spoilers, the Day of the Daleks set is my favorite of the bunch, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit. So that's probably my favorite because you've got quite a few little Easter eggs in there. The others are great. I think the Sensorite one actually is a great background because it just doubles up nicely and it suits the 70s Daleks really well. It sort of matches that sort of 70s sort of greeny sort of beige look what some stories have, which is really cool. So yeah, that's probably my favorite, the Day of the Daleks one, because it's just a lot of fun. Sort of a Dalek appearing from the time tunnel, and you've got sort of a Blake 7 sort of security droid. Have you seen the new figure leak? Yes, I have, and I am very excited for it because it's to do with my favorite Doctor, so I'm very excited to get that set, and of course I will review it. And it's a third Doctor figure, what I'm really excited about having, because it opens up the door for more third Doctor figures, which is incredibly exciting, which is great. So I'm excited for it, and obviously we're giving another Doctor some more love, because this year the sort of 60s has had a bit of love. Now another Doctor, well, another decade of Doctor Who's going to get some love, which is great. How does the History of a Dalek set 5 compare to set 1 to 4, since they're all 60s Daleks? So I'm sure we'll get onto that in a minute, when we talk about the Power of a Dalek set. So, chat, what set should we talk about first? Put in the chat what set you want me to talk about first, because I'm going to try and do something a little bit technical, and I'm going to try and use my phone camera. It's going to be a little bit, hopefully, better quality than the old computer webcam, and we're going to dive into talking about that. So yeah, chat. What set do you want me to talk about first? And then we will dive into it. Vord first. All right, so we're doing the Keys of Marinus. So give me a second. I will just add my phone to StreamYard. And then hopefully this will work. You're going to see to me. Haha, this is very weird. So if I put this one on solo layout, there we go. Hopefully this is better. So we'll start off with the Keys of Marinus set. So this, we have Vord. Who would have thought it? In the year of 2021, we have Vord figures. This is very surreal. The Vord have been sort of a figure we've all wanted to see over the years. It's been one of those sort of obvious ones, isn't it, really? Since we've had like the Sharashek body, just give it a new head sculpt and you've got a Vord. And character options have gone through sort of the extra mile, and they've obviously given us new hands for the Vord to give it a sort of webbed hand look, which is great. And they are sort of demon Teletubbies, which is tremendous, and I absolutely love them. And the fact that they come with their little accessories, their little knives, is great. The sculpt work is brilliant. But I will say, when I first got this set, because cheeky plug, I have reviewed it. I was kindly sent this by Character Options, which I'm very grateful for, because as a person who's got the figures from day one, it's a pleasure to be able to review figures and character. Go, hey, do you want to review this? I'm like, yes, absolutely. But I did think the Vord head was a little bit too small. I thought it was too thin, but obviously the Axon humanoid body is quite small, I guess. So I guess they've accommodated the sort of helmet to fit that. So you've got sort of your demon Teletubby there. You've got the nice sort of silver detailing there, which really does stand out against sort of the black of the costume, which is great. So it definitely does stand out, which is amazing. Yeah, great figure. I do like that one. Of course, you do get another Vord, which is great. So, good for little army builders, and it is wonderful. Of course, you've got their flipper feet because that is new tooling as well. So yeah, they've gone through the extra mile to give us these, which is great. But I think the main talking point for the Keys of Marinus set is Ian Chesterton. I don't know if my camera's going to pick it up, but there we go. William Russell. Now, I'm going to be honest, it's one of those figures what looks better in hand. Simply because I don't think online the photos do it justice. It's one of those figures what is better in hand. And I think certain angles you do get William Russell's likeness. It's sort of you can see that it is William Russell. It's just the angle you catch it really does depend when you get the likeness, because if you get it in the right angle, you're like, oh, that is William Russell. But other times you're like, it's Nigel Farage. But yeah, good figure, good sort of reuse of the master body. But I will say maybe it would have made sense to use the Jane Lester primeval figure body, just because more articulation, and I think the Saxon body is a little bit short. So if we have a Barbara figure and Barbara's taller than Ian, that's going to be a little bit odd. But I think that it's a good reuse of the Johnson master body. But yeah, very good figure, very good detail. With sort of the charcoal grey sort of suit, really nice figure. But like I say, the likenesses definitely do depend on the angle you get. But yeah, great hair detailing with sort of that grey wash over it. Yeah, but very good figure. I'm not well versed in the history of Doctor Who figures. Why are they only available in B&M, and why can character options not make so many of the new molds? I think it's simply down to retailers on the way sort of we view sort of the way we collect things now. I guess high street markets, there isn't a demand there, and I think B&M is sort of the market what are willing to take a punt on Doctor Who. Yeah, because I think Forbidden Planet, it just become a bit too costly, because the Forbidden Planet ones were in conjunction with Underground Toys. So they were sort of funding the Forbidden Planet exclusives, but obviously Underground Toys sort of collapsed and became, I think they got bought out by Funko, I think. And I think B&M took a punt with a few was sort of the figures, and obviously they sold well, because the B&M figures started back in, I think, 2014, 2015, and it was very simple. You'd get like one hard to get figure within that wave, and then you'll get sort of traditional standard figure like River Song in the spacesuit, very hard to get figure, and then you'd get sort of a Donna Noble figure and a Rassilon figure. So it started off that, and then obviously they become more and more adventurous. And then I think sort of B&M sort of took the punt and thought, you know what, they're selling well, let's take a risk and start giving them a little bit more money for these new molds. And obviously, because the figures are selling incredibly well, we're able to get new head sculpts, slightly sort of retooling of existing figs, and I think that's really exciting. So if you want to see more exciting things within the Doctor Who character options line, then go out and buy the set, go out and buy and enjoy them. Yeah, so there we go. Those Vords look so good. Yeah, the Vord are great. It's just wonderful to have 60s Doctor Who monsters. I think that's the thing what I really like about this. It's adding variety to areas of the Doctor Who figure shelf what we don't have, and I think that's what I really love about this wave in particular. That's mainly because of the cost of making new molds. I wish Forbidden Planet had more exclusives. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame the Forbidden Planet sort of exclusive sort of folding, because I think that it was just a great time, because we were getting sort of new figures practically every month, maybe two new sets a month, which was crazy. But the price tag for those were a lot more expensive, because it was like £25 for two figures, where you're paying £19.99 for three figures. So though it's more reuse, you're getting more bang for your buck. So it's a win-win situation, really. Have you got the rare child Amy? Yes, I do. It should be around there somewhere. I mean, you can't see because I'm blocking it. But yeah, hang on. I'll just go and get. Hang on. I shall spin round and I will grab little Amy. There you go. There's a little Amy figure. The little rare one from the Doctor Experience. Just pop that back there. I will do a Doctor Who figure collection once the next wave of B&M figures have come out, and then I'll do a full little tour of all this, so you can enjoy that. Yeah, so we move on to another B&M set, shall we? So what B&M set shall we go on to? We've done the Marinus set, we've got the Sensorites and the Daleks. Shall we look at a Dalek set? I fancy looking at a Dalek set. So yeah, let's take a look at the Power of the Dalek set. So this set contained your bog standard sort of 60s Dalek drone, which has had some slightly sort of reworked because you've got the updated sort of egg cup dome lights, which have this sort of lovely frosting effect. I don't know why I'm doing this focusing because it probably doesn't work. But yeah, it's got this lovely sort of frosting effect there, what gives it sort of this very pale sort of yellow color. And it works really well, and it looks very authentic to how the props were back in the 1960s. But this power drone has the 1970s Dalek eye, and if you can see, I don't know if you're going to see it on camera, but what they've done is they painted the pupil white to give the illusion of the small Dalek eye. What I think the telescopic Dalek eyes were last seen in Power of the Daleks. So this was, I guess, a bit of an obvious choice for character options to do, actually. Really, because I thought that the Power of the Dalek set would be your standard 60s Dalek drone and then maybe a Dalek without the gun, but they have gone the extra mile. This is a lovely little figure to have, and it's great to have another 60s Dalek because they've given it the Imperial Dalek gun because it's not pinched, because there's a whole sort of article on the back of these sets explaining the history of the prop, which is a really nice touch. But one thing I will say about the Power of the Daleks figures, don't know if you can see, but as you can see, the midsection is grey, but you've got this sort of silver, half of it's been just painted silver, which, you know, kind of does stand out a little bit. It does look a little bit jarring from the side, but front on looks great. I am tempted to get another one of these, actually, because I do like them, and it's just great to have sort of Troughton era Daleks. They are fantastic. But yeah, it's a really great, really nice little figure. But the most exciting thing about the Power of a Dalek set is, of course, Mutant Scoop Boy or Pizza Dalek. Yeah, this has your traditional 60s Dalek eye, very much the same detail as you would get in your standard 60s Dalek. But obviously we have the new sculpt of the Mutant Scoop. Sadly, doesn't come with a mutant, which is probably the downside of this, and I think I would have liked the Mutant Scoop arm to be a little bit longer because it does look a little bit short. But I think if this set did come with the Mutant, I think everyone would be loving it. And, you know, I admire character options for giving us this because this has been a Dalek variant what we've all wanted for years. So I admire that we are getting this because I thought that the history of the Dalek set line was the budget line, where they'd basically just re-release some Daleks and, you know, gives people a chance who didn't get the original releases to go and get them. But obviously they've gone the extra mile and they've given us this lovely variant, great detailing on the actual Mutant Scooper, that sort of great sort of detailing, very similar to sort of the Sensorite sort of stethoscope, what you have on there. But yeah, great little Dalek. And of course, if you army build it, you can obviously remove the Mutant Scoop, put a plunger, and then you've got sort of a traditional Troughton era Dalek drone. And what's lovely as well, it continues that sort of scuffing on the skirt like the other History of a Dalek set, which, you know, lovely little touch. I guess a little negative I have with this, which sounds a bit wrong to say, but the hemispheres should be a lot darker. They look a lot darker on camera, but they should be a very dark blue, very much the same color, sort of the eye stalk rings. But yeah, nice to have that. Probably the weakest of the bunch for me, actually. I do like this set still, but I think that the other sets offer a little bit more variety. I think that because we've had 4 other History of a Dalek sets, what are silver and blue, you kind of do get a little bit fatigued. So I think that's why everyone's sort of clamoring to get the Day of the Dalek set, because it's not a silver and blue Dalek. But yeah, that's very cool. I do recommend that. But yeah, Mutant Scoop should have had a mutant, really. It just seemed a little bit bare. But if you've got the Recon Dalek, then yeah, you can use that or whatever. Make your own custom. Get you some paper mache and make yourself a Dalek mutant. Having a stream without me, are we? I see my decision of our tier list finally pushed our friendship too far. I'm very sorry, Luke. I mean, I thought I'd leave you to work on the old Fourth Doctor tier list, and hopefully we can get that sorted this week at some point. But yeah. Hello, Sea Devil Lagoon. I think the power set would be greatly improved if the shoulders were correct and the hemispheres are correct. It's a fun set, but compared to a day set, it gets blown out of the water. Yeah. And I think as well, because we've had so many other 60s Daleks, which are great and all lovely, it's just the day set just stands out, doesn't it? And I think, yeah, the little quality control error that, you've got the little silver sort of hemisphere, sort of silver section there instead of the grey. It does look a little bit jarring, but obviously if you just play it like that, then you'll be fine. But still a good set. Who thinks character should release an Ice Lord from the Axon Man body? Yes, I think everyone's been doing those customs, haven't they? From sort of Nathan Ward's sort of resin heads. And I've wanted an Ice Lord figure for so many years because it just seems wrong not to have one. And obviously you can do at least 3 variants. You can do one from the Monster Paladin, Cursor Paladin, and even give us sort of Lord Slar from the Seeds of Death. So go on, character, give us some Ice Lords. It'd be wonderful. I'll just have a little quick check at the chat. Would be cool to see Barbara and Susan for sure. Maybe Quillian or another Hartnell villain as well. Yeah, maybe some Chumbleys. Give us some Chumbleys. That would be great. But Quillian, I would be down for a Quillian. I think that would be a great figure to have. Because the Eagle Moth one looks wonderful. Hopes of the Earthshock set. I think that it's probably going to be a Cyber Leader, one of the Cyberman androids, because they seem to be using the Axon body quite a bit this year. And if you've seen the leaked, one of the leaked sets from next month's wave of figures, then it will make sense why we'll be getting one of the Earthshock androids, and I think we might see Adric using the Laszlo body. I think we'll see Adric. Yeah, we'll have a 5-inch Adric. Who would have thought it? What a wild time we live in if we do. Yeah, it's all very wonderful. Whereabouts are we in the chat? Would be cool to see a history of the Master set with Delgado, Pratt, Beavers, and Ainley. Yeah, I was thinking maybe they could do like a 13 Doctor set dedicated. Well, not 13 Doctor set, but a set in the same vein as that. Maybe give us an updated Derek Jacobi figure from like one of the Big Finish covers. That'd be great. Alex McQueen's Master in figure form. That would be brilliant. What's the difference between the Ice Warriors in the Paladin stories? In the Monster Paladin, the Ice Warriors are more of a. This is my Pertwee geekness coming through. Are more of a sort of emerald, sort of dark emerald green, whereas Monster Paladin are very much the traditional standard green Ice Warrior color. They're a lot more a darker green in Monster Paladin. And I think they've got their visors repainted as well, or sort of redone, refitted. So yeah, those are the differences there within there. So should we take a look at another figure set? So should we dive into the Sensorites? Yeah, whoa, what a weird time. I'm talking about Sensorite figures. But yeah, let's talk about little Billy Hartnell. Yeah, for many people, this will be their first First Doctor figure. Yeah, because I think this is our first Doctor figure in about 5 years, and I believe we are getting a First Doctor and TARDIS set, which I believe is going to be based from the pilot. So we're going to have the First Doctor with his tie instead of his traditional cravat. So that'll be very exciting. And I think it's an Earthly Child First Doctor without the hat and the jacket done up. But I think that's what it's going to be, actually. I could be wrong, but that's just the rumor going around. But in terms of this figure, it's one of those figures what surprised me. I didn't really like it when I first saw the photos. Like, oh, the trousers are wrong. That is the major issue. But the more I've had this figure, the more I just like it. I really do. there's just something. It just feels very much like something you'd see in a 1960s annual or a sort of a 60s comic with the First Doctor in it. It just has that sort of charm to it, and I really, really do admire it. I think that is a great figure. And I love the updated vibrant blue cravat. Obviously, you can't see it in this light, which is a bit of a shame. But it's great. The paint taps are very crisp on sort of Bill Hartnell. They don't have that sort of very red eyes, as you can see. Looks pretty darn good, actually. Do you like him? Very nice sort of updated sort of paint taps to sort of. I think the B&M sort of Doctor figures, they've sort of given them this sort of stylized sort of cartoon look. If you look at the Monster Paladin Pertwee figure, it has a great sort of cartoon look to it. And I think that they've sort of replicated that with the First Doctor, but there's some sort of like lovely, quite charming cartoonishness to it. And I think that's why it gives me sort of a Doctor Who annual vibe. But yeah, good figure. But the main attraction for the set is some old men and some whisks. This is wonderful. Sensorites. Yeah, if you've seen the Sensorites, then you know that the masks don't really fit the actors very well. I think that the Sensorites are one of those monsters what really translate beautifully into figure form. I think that they are tremendously, just work tremendously in figure form. I think, the 1960 Cybermen translate beautifully into figure form, and this is another example of a Doctor Who alien what just lends itself to be made as a figure. The head sculpt is tremendous. This is the Sensorite Warrior. There we go. And yeah, it's just utterly bizarre that we have a Sensorite figure. Again, clever use of the Axon body and Shara's Jack figure, with the retooled sort of legs to accommodate for the Sensorite's very, very snazzy feet, and the sort of spindly fingers, which for me just really enhance that sort of alienness of the Sensorites, which is tremendous. And I think that they've done a brilliant job with the feet, because you can see where the actors' feet sort of start and where they sort of end, really, and where the sort of feet are just the sort of the material would be sort of wrapped around the actors' feet, which is a really, really lovely touch, and they are just really great. And to include their little weapons as well, it's just bizarre. I think that, I say it like it's a negative, but I'm just in awe of it. I think that these have just surprised me on how good they are. I think that these are probably my favorite figure from this wave in terms of humanoid characters. These are my favorite of the bunch. I think that they just work incredibly well. But the accessory, really great detail. You've got the nice little section detail, which you're probably not gonna see, sadly. But yeah, the fact that we have these accessories as well, really lovely bonus to have them. Even the sort of printed zip at the back, it's just it's a labor of love, the Sensorite figs, and I think that they've done a beautiful job with the Sensorites. And I if you told me last year we'd have Sensorite figures, I wouldn't have believed you. And then we have, of course, the lovely Elder Sensorite. I think the first Elder, and of course, if you're a customizer, you can remove one of the sashes, and then you can have another sort of, I think, first one of the Elders. I can't remember. It's been years since I've seen the Sensorites. And I think if you paint the collars on one of them, you get sort of one of the council members. Yeah, the Sensorites isn't a story I particularly know very well. And I've been meaning to rewatch it since I've got all these figures. But yeah, we've got slight variations in the paint apps you can see on the beard, and even the costumes are slightly different blue. I think one of them's got more of a sort of a grey blue finish compared to more of a blue finish. I think the Warrior's more sort of blue. But yeah, we've got the sort of stethoscope detail there where they communicate. It would have been nice if they had sort of the actual wire, but I guess that would perish over time. So if you are going to get these in the shops, then do be careful of quality control so you can get, a decent sort of Sensorite stethoscope. But it's lovely to have that sort of new molding and tooling to accommodate that. So yeah, it works well because you've got a sort of 3D element now, which is great, really. But yeah, Sensorites, love them. I think that they are my favorite humanoid figures from the wave. So let's have a quick look at the chat, and then we'll take a look at the final set, the highlight of the set, the Day of the Dalek set. Whereabouts are we in the old chat? Do you get any of the Eagle Moss figures? No, I don't. I think that there comes a point when you're a Doctor Who fan where you have to sort of be selective on the merchandise you get, and I think that, you know, the Eagle Moss stuff sadly has to go because I get a big finish and the figures and the Blu-rays and the steelbooks. Something's got to give, and obviously finding space for the Eagle Moss stuff is another factor. So yeah, I don't get the Eagle Moss stuff sadly. But yeah, I think for me, the character options all the way for me. The figures for me are my favorite thing to collect. They've been the thing I've been getting from day one. So yeah, character options has my heart and my wallet. The Fourth Doctor tier list is a big boy. Might need a 24-hour stream for that one. Figures are definitely more of your thing anyway. Just having a good look behind. Enjoy the background. It's very. I thought since we're doing a figure live stream, it would only be fitting to have the figures in the back. There. Although I must admit the new day set is really tempting me. Luke, buy it. It's great. It's worth your time. It's a wonderful set. It's beautiful. I just love it. I will gush over it in a minute, I swear. Yeah, I'm looking. I'm not ignoring the phone. I'm just trying to get the comments on my laptop because I can read it better because I'm an old man. Do you think we'll ever see a Hurdnall First Doctor figure? I think so. I think the 5 Doctor set, before it leaked, I think everyone anticipated a Hurdnall. But I could see them doing sort of a Hurdnall figure with a Dalek, much like the Capaldi and Davros. That would be a great way of doing it. But character options, I think we've learned over the past year that they're releasing prototype figures, what we've known about for years, like the Fur Coat Second Doctor, which I don't know if you can see. He's there. There he is. And sort of the Terror of the Zygons Fourth Doctor, which he's around about there somewhere. And even the Sensorites, I believe, were prototypes. So we are getting prototype figures from back in the day, which is incredibly exciting. So who knows? We could see a Yeti, but I think we will see the Hurdnall figure at some point. Maybe that'll be a character optioned online exclusive or in another B&M set. I mean, I've heard talks that Alduar is on about moving the B&M sets, but because the B&M sets have been leaking, not through the fans, but more of a case of B&M employees have been leaking them. I think that they're thinking about moving elsewhere. So maybe they become online exclusives, which would be really great stuff. But then I think, as much as I hate sort of trying to find these sets, there is just something really wonderful seeing Doctor Who figures in an actual shop. And the sheer delight after going to many B&Ms trying to find them, and you finally see them. Oh, no better feeling. Since they have the figures now, thoughts on the Sensorites as a story? I enjoyed it, actually. It's been about 5 years since I've watched it. I remember really enjoying it. Part 1 obviously is tremendous. It's one of the strongest first episodes of Doctor Who, actually. It's a really good sort of first episode, and it's just tremendously good. Very great atmosphere. But I think you do sort of get a little bit of padding as the story goes on, but it's still really good, and I do want to revisit it because, you know, I'm in love with the Sensorites. They're great, great idea, great concept, and it's a shame that they haven't really been used much in expanded media. You know, but yeah, I definitely want to rewatch the Sensorites. So give me a couple of weeks, and I'm sure I'll have more of an in-depth opinion on the Sensorites. But I remember enjoying it, actually. Because I remember it was about midnight back in 2016. I just fancied watching a Hartnell story, and I picked the Sensorites. Out of all the first Doctor era, I picked the Sensorites, and you know what? I had a really good time watching it. Hopes for the history of the Daleks at 8, 9, and 10 certainly be interesting. For history of a Dalek set, I'm just trying to look what we are. For 8, I would love to see sort of the stealth anti-light wave reflectant Dalek, the sort of clear Dalek. Where is he? There he is. But maybe sort of just spray paint him all gold, because I think that in the story, the actual prop was just, you know, a grey Dalek. So that'd be great. And maybe the Planet Supreme, because I know a lot of people want that figure and it's highly sought after. So I think that it's going to be one of those figures what's really in demand, and I think that it will sell incredibly well, and it'd be good to see it updated, get them an updated sort of bronze, sort of gold finish to it. That would be great. I'm very interested to see the Planet of the Daleks set. In terms of sort of set 9, I think for Death to the Daleks, which I'm probably going to buy quite a few of them because I love the Death to the Daleks figures. I think they're great. I'd love to see the Machine Gun Dalek and a proper, accurate Death to the Daleks figure with sort of the black gun, because we haven't had that, because the sound effects Dalek had the silver gun, which is wrong. It should have a black gun. So it would be good to actually have a proper, correct, standard Death to the Daleks drone. And of course, you know, you can put them with your 10th Doctor figures and sets from Dalek Universe, which is wonderful. And for History of Daleks set 10, I don't know. I feel like we've covered all the Genesis figures, actually. So I don't know. What they do for the Genesis set. It'd be quite interested to see what they do for that. Did anyone else have the classic Dalek set 1 when they were a kid and lose it? No, didn't lose mine. I looked after mine. Mine's there somewhere and all about. So yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's been a long time, so I can understand why you would lose it. Because it's, you know, I think 13, 14 years old. That set. I can't do maths right now. I'm very tired. I'm just here to talk about dollies and have a good time. Would be a missed opportunity if the Planet of the Dalek set doesn't include the Supreme and Anti-Light Reflective Dalek. Yeah, I think that because we've got the lovely metallic drone sort of 70s Dalek, it makes sense to throw in a bit of a curveball and not make the sets look a bit similar. Because I am very tempted to army build the Death of the Dalek set. I say army build, buy another one, and then use the other Gold Supreme and put it with McGannon sets from Dark Eyes. Because you can get away with having 3 Gold Supremes and say one's from Frontier Day and Dark Eyes 4. That's just my pedantic fan brain of trying to sort of justify spending a little bit more money on getting 2 more Daleks. But not that I need to be sort of persuaded, because, you know, you can never have too many Daleks. What story from the other Pertwee season would you most likely to see get updated special effects? Invasion of the Dinosaurs is the obvious one. But I would quite like to see, in terms of, I think the Pertwee special effects stand up very well, actually. But yeah, Invasion of the Dinosaurs is the obvious one. I think Planet of the Spiders would be interesting to see get updated. I think that would be a good one to see updated with what they can do with that sort of update with sort of CSO. And yeah, it'd be interesting. Maybe update the spiders. That'd be very cool. So yeah, I'd say Planet of the Spiders for that. Look forward to the gushing. Oh, don't worry, Luke. I will gush over these Pertwee Daleks very soon. What Big Finish characters would you most like to see get figures? I think any of the monsters, the Eminence would be great. The Virons would be wonderful. Yeah, I think any sort of the monster. I think Evelyn would be doable. Use a Grandma Colony figure. That'd be great. And just give us a Lucy Miller. That would be wonderful. Yeah, just give us some monsters from Big Finish. I'd be definitely down for that. Yeah. They could easily do a child Dalek from Evil of the Daleks. Yeah, I think we'll probably see for that set maybe an Emperor Guard Dalek and maybe one of the human factor Daleks, maybe Alpha, Beta, Omega, whatever. What are those? Or maybe just a 60s Dalek with the 70s eye, much like the Product Enterprise Dalek. So I think we'll probably see one of those. Or maybe get an online exclusive with the Emperor Dalek. That would be tremendously exciting. The Planet Supreme Dalek figure gun was incorrect to the prop, but the little one had the correct gun. Okay, that's pretty interesting. Bilal should have been a companion. Now that's a figure I would like. I would love to see Bilal as a figure. Speaking of some Pertwee, shall we move on to the Pertwee Daleks? Yes, we shall. This is the last set in the wave, and this was my most anticipated one. And look at that. We're actually getting an accurate 70s Supreme with the correct sort of gold neckbin section. And of course, you know, we have the sort of silver ball joint on the plunger, because the original one had the gold ball joints, and now we have this lovely metallic gold finish, which really does pop. And you look at the Big Chief, sort of Day of the Dalek Supreme, what they've done, and you're like, character, you've won this one, and it is just tremendous with the updated sort of paint taps on the eye stalk, that sort of lovely baby pale blue finish, which is great. And of course, you have the ridged dome light, which I got the original. So what is this set called? Dalek Collector set number 2. So I never got sort of the updated dome light. They did do a revised version back in, I think, 2012 actually. So this is my chance to get a proper Day of the Dalek Supreme, and he is wonderful. And you've got the lovely sort of gold finish on the fender. And what's lovely, you've got a two-tone fender, because you've got sort of this sort of matte finish there, and then you've got this lovely gloss black finish to give it that sort of bin bag look to it, because they did use sort of bin bags at the bottom to hide sort of the operator's feet, and I love that little touch to it, and it's just really stunning. It's really one of my favorite Daleks, and I think it is a beautiful one. I think that this is definitely the sought after set of the bunch for me. I think that everyone's going wild for this, and rightly so. It just stands out compared to like the original Day of the Daleks day figure what we got. It just stands out. Sadly, I can't get him because he's up there. I should have brought him down, but I didn't really prepare for this whatsoever, sadly. But yeah, this is wonderful. But my favorite of the set, this one. Look at him. He's beautiful. For me, this is the quintessential 70s Dalek. For me, the 1970s Daleks are my favorite. And if I was ever to get a full-size Dalek, it would be one of these. Just look at that. We've got the thicker pupil there to really sort of replicate how it was in the show. Just that metallic finish, that metallic gunmetal grey, how it just pops off in different light. It's just absolutely wonderful, and I would love another one of these. It's just really stunning. The way if you catch it in certain lights, it just looks beautiful. It looks almost black, but it's not. It is grey, and it is just tremendous. It is just beautiful, lovely reflective work, and it's just when you put it alongside the planet sort of Dalek from the sound effects wave, you just realize how wrong character got it, and you wonder why it took them so long to give us this variant of a Dalek. And it's definitely been worth the wait. I think that it is just one of the best Dalek figures, and probably is this. I mean, I don't know if I'm saying this because it's new and it's exciting, but this could be my favorite Dalek figure character options I've ever done. I absolutely love it. As a Pertwee fan, maybe my Pertwee bias is coming into play with this, but I really do love him. He's a great one, and I'd like to get another one so I could have 3 like the actual story in Day of the Daleks. I think that it is just a beautiful one, and it just the way you can just take photos of it genuinely looks like the prop. Like just that thicker pupil makes it just look very authentic to how it was in the actual show. I just love it. I hope you're happy, Luke, with me guys for this, because I just love them. It's just a beautiful set, and if you find it in the wild, Luke, get it. It's worth your time. It's just real stunning one. If I can get a Genesis Dalek, I can't get a Genesis Dalek because it's tucked behind another Dalek. So yeah, it is a beautiful. It's a beautiful one. Beautiful Dalek. It is great. I love it. Just look at that. How can you not love that 70s Dalek? It is just tremendous. And honestly, the definitive 70s Dalek. And for me, it proves that, a Dalek is a war machine in a tank. And this is definitely reflective of that. And yeah, the metallic paintwork. Chef kiss. Love him. He's great. All right, back to the old chat. That's a little quick roundup of the B&M set. So let's have a little check on the chat. I shall just remove my phone from the screen. There we go. I shall go back to the old laptop. There we go. Right, I shall get back to the old chat. How the heck did the restaurant Royal robot take out an army of Sylar, but Leela managed to rip the head off and hang it on the wall? I have no idea. What's so bad about the Big Chief Supreme? I'm not a figure person, so it looks fine to me. I'm sure there are a key flaw, but I'm missing. The hemispheres look a little bit flat to me, and I think that there's just something a little bit off. I think the proportions of the Big Chief Dalek don't look quite right. I mean, I'm still tempted to get it, I'll be honest, to go alongside the Big Chief Pertwee figure. But again, there's just something a little bit off to me. Maybe because I haven't actually used, an actual image of the product. It just looks a little bit off to me because I feel like they're using a computer render of the Dalek figure, so it doesn't look quite right. I mean, I'm probably going to wait to see actual photos of it before I commit to buying it, but yeah, there's just something a little bit off about it for me personally. Where can you buy this beautiful gold Dalek? You can get it from your B&M stores, so happy hunting. They should be pretty well stocked. I mean, that's the sad thing about this sort of B&M wave, is that we've had sort of that knock-on effect with the lorry drivers, hence why the 15th of August sort of became early September. But yeah, and of course we'll have to relive that pain very soon when we get the October wave of B&M sets. I've got 3 grey Daleks. I mean, well done. They're definitely worth it. Or if you're willing to spend £120 on eBay, yeah, don't pay the eBay prices, because if you fund the eBay and scalpers, the more likely they're to do it. So don't fuel their sort of addiction and make us pay. Simply find them in stores, and then it will eradicate scalpers, hopefully. Why them just being stuck with a load of Dalek sets. I feel fans are always biased towards their Dalek figures from their favourite era. I guess so. But when you've got a Dalek that looks as good as this, how can you not? It's a beautiful Dalek. I'm gonna gush over that Dalek for the rest of my life. I love him. Today's a good day for fans of Rufus Hound as the Monk. Yeah, enjoy Missy Series 3. I will not be listening to it. So Stylish One, if you've picked it up, then please enjoy listening to that. Deciding to buy it is one thing, finding it in the wild is another. Yeah, that is another thing. Unless you ask me and James to go on the wild hunt for you and track it down for you, Luke. But yeah, if you can find it, Luke, get it. It will look good next to your Invasion of the Dinosaurs Pertwee and Delgado and Joe. So yeah, be great. And then you can have like a Frontier in space display, I guess. So yeah, I think we're practically almost caught up with the chat, really. So yes, it's been a nice little quick stream talking about the B&M figures. So if you've got any sort of final questions within the chat, please pop them in and I will answer them, because we'll go for a little bit more, if it depends on how many questions there are. Then after that we'll wrap it up and say good night, because it is a school night, I guess, so many of you have to go to sleep. Do you check every figure when you shop to find the best ones with the best paint applications and everything? It depends what's there. If there's a wide variety of figures of the same set, then I will look around and check. But when I found the History of the Dalek sets, there was literally one of each, so I literally just grabbed them and hoped for the best, and luckily they're all fine quality control wise, so I'm very, very happy. But normally, if there's a load in the shop, I will check, because you're paying good money for these figures, so you want the best quality, really. Have you ever seen Blake 7? No, I haven't. It's always been one of those things I plan on watching, but I never get around to watching it, sadly. Mainly because I'm busy rewatching Doctor Who. What obscure Daleks would you most like to see? The Mechanist Daleks have opened up a lot of possibilities. I would love to see the Supreme Dalek from, I think, Emperor of Davros, which is a purple and black Supreme with a gold gun and a gold claw. Sort of the movie Dalek claw. That would be a wonderful figure to have. And I think that'd be a great sort of obscure sort of comic book, because we've seen sort of the comic Daleks before with Dalek Alpha there with the Eighth Doctor. So I would love to see sort of that sort of comic book Dalek. Yeah, it'd be great. What 60s companion would you most like to see above the others? And what monster would you like to see with in particular the Troughton companions? Ian has happened, so anything can happen now. I would love Jamie and a Yeti and an Ice Lord. I think that would be a great 60s set, or maybe Zoe and 2 Wheel in Space Cybermen, because the prototype for the Wheel in Space Cybermen exist. So, let's give us some Wheel in Space Cybermen. That would be absolutely wonderful. Yeah, I'd say that for 60s companion. TARDIS Guy 123. Which era do you think needs figure attention the most now? I think Troughton. I think Troughton is lacking because we've only really got Ice Warriors, Cybermen, and Daleks. So I think that giving us a little bit more variety of Troughton monsters would be great. We could even get a salamander figure using sort of the Clockwork Droid body and sort of sculpt, put the Troughton legs on it, and then sort of a retooling of the Troughton head. We can have a salamander figure. That'd be a nice little one to have, but a Yeti would be great. And I think, Troughton is an era of monsters. So for me, I think that it makes sense to have Troughton. Give us some Quarks. What other monsters we got in the Troughton era? Macra would be great. Even sort of the Chameleons. We are really spoiled for choice of monsters in the Troughton era, and I think that every time we get a B&M wave of figures, the Troughton section on the figure shelf gets a little bit smaller because it's just Daleks now. So I would love to have a bit more variety for Troughton, really. I think that the 80s are getting a little bit of love soon, so that'd be nice. But I think that it'll be nice to have a little bit more focus on the Troughton era. But yeah, I think the 80s need a bit more love as well, just to give us a bit more original monsters like Hemivores, the Pteroleptals. They'd be great. Tractators, even Draffro for the 6th Doctor. That would be wonderful. Valiard. There are so many key monsters and villains. What we still need to have in figure form. So hopefully character options can continue, and the lines as well, so we can get some great new exciting figures, really. Favorite figures from 2010 to 2012. The Drashig hand puppet. That's always a good one. But yeah, I'm just going to try and have a little swivel round to have a look. 2010. I think the Remembrance of a Dalek set was a really good set. I think the first Doctor and TARDIS set, that was a great one. That would be a good one to have. What other figures? Yeah, I think first Doctor and TARDIS. That's a wonderful set. I think that's probably my favorite. Maybe my favorite or second favorite classic TARDIS character options we've done. I think that it's great. There's just so many good figures from sort of that era, because that's sort of the peak Forbidden Planet exclusive line, really. 2010 and 2012. Because you had great figures like the Silence from sort of the mainstream stuff. The 80s Cybermen are wonderful. The Ice Warriors are great. Some classic Sontarans came out in between that period. There's just so many good figures what were released, so it's hard to pick a favorite. With all the Troughton animations, it's surprising there haven't been more figures, actually. Yeah, it is, actually, considering how much Troughton love. And I think, we've had like the anniversary of Troughton's birthday. That would have been an ideal way to celebrate, the second Doctor era by going, here's a 100-year anniversary of Patrick Troughton's birth. Here's some figures from the second Doctor era. That would be great. Yeah, Branson Symmetry 8 Doxy's Forte. Yeah, they tend to miss anniversary and sort of mix it up, really. But the one time they did it, Power of the Daleks, to celebrate the 50th anniversary, they did sort of cock it up, and a couple of years later we did have to, get a redo of the animation. Have you ever bought a Big Finish from Forbidden Planet, and how much roughly? And do you still buy Big Finish from them? I bought quite a few of the first 50 from Forbidden Planet. I found I found Storm Warning in Forbidden Planet, but yeah, and I've got a couple of the Fourth Doctor from Forbidden Planet. What other ones have I got from Forbidden Planet? Some of the Lost Stories, like Lord's Red Planet, and some of the 51 to 100 I got from Forbidden Planet. And they cost sort of the retail price they are at Big Finish. So yeah, you're probably getting swindled a little bit because you don't get the download. But that's when I started collecting Big Finish. So I didn't really know about the downloads and that sort of thing. And of course, when I was getting them from I can't say it, Forbidden Planet, they were out of stock. Some of them were out of print. So it was just, here's the Marin Conspiracy. Buy it for I think £10. I think so. It was a good price. Yeah. Hey, Purse11, I made a meme about the B&M sets on Twitter. Thought you might enjoy it. I'll go and have a look at that after I've done this stream. I'll be very interested to see the meme because I do love a good meme. Do you ever use BBC Store? No, I don't. I never used the BBC Store because it was digital. It's much like BritBox actually. I don't use anything like that. Simply because I'm not a digital person. I like to have physical things, and most of the stuff on like the BBC Store I have on my DVD shelf, so I didn't really need to spend extra money really. So yeah. Speaking of Lost Stories, favorite cover from each series, I would say Point of Entry from series 1, and then series 2. I would say from series 2, maybe I think Thin Ice. That's a good one. Then series 3. Series 3, maybe the Elite, and then series 4, the Mega. Then I think Nightmare Country, and then Return of the Cybermen, I'd say are my favorite covers. Most overrated Big Finish story. Overrated Big Finish story. I would say overrated Big Finish story. I don't know. What overrated Big Finish story is there? Chimes of Midnight. I like it, but I don't really get the fuss. Like, I think that is a really good story, but for me, it's not a 10 out of 10 like most people have. So I'd say Chimes of Midnight is probably one of the most overrated Big Finish. Still, deserves the praise and it deserves all the love it gets. But for me, I think that Scherzo and Jubilee are probably the more solid. I think Scherzo's probably my favorite Rob Sherman 8th Doctor story. So I think Chimes of Midnight. That might be a hot take, but you wanted an overrated Big Finish story, so yeah, that's probably my overrated one. Even though I do rate it fairly highly, but it's not a 10 out of 10 for me. Favorite figure review thumbnail you've made? I don't know. I'm gonna have to have a little check now on my on the old thumbnails to have a little look. One moment, I shall have a little look at my figure review playlist, and I will give you an answer on that. Have you saw the leak? Sorry if you've been asked. Yes, I have seen the leak. It's very exciting, isn't it? David on who? Yeah, definitely excited for a certain Doctor figure. I'm very, very excited for that. In terms of thumbnail, I quite like the Coal Hill School set one because it just looks really cool actually. Or maybe the Fifth Doctor and TARDIS. That's pretty cool because it, I think any of the ones will look like a little mini scene or diorama. Look great. So yeah, I'd say any of those really. I'm a big fan. Or sort of the Claws of Axos 3-pack. That's a pretty good thumbnail actually. I do like that one. Memories of doing your first figure reviews on YouTube. They were terrible. Because I was literally using a laptop webcam. So I bring the finest of quality on the channel. And obviously you can't really look at detail with a webcam. But yeah. I enjoyed it. But I think I was more sort of, I guess, more angry that I couldn't sort of have better a better camera to sort of talk about the details. So I guess I got a little bit frustrated in that sort of sense that I was like, I can't really do sort of the detail and all that sort of stuff. But it taught me sort of the way to do sort of figure reviews, and obviously over the years I hope that I've refined the format and they've got better over the years. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I mean, who knows? People might prefer the very first figure reviews that I do compared to now. I knew about them thanks to a friend. Apparently, the new TARDIS set will be good. And the re-release of a particular robot. Yeah, I believe that it's a first Doctor TARDIS, so that'd be good for people. Hopefully, it's not a flat roof TARDIS because I think people are getting a little bit sick of those. Yeah, favorite, most pointless Doctor Who figure and most memorable one too. Now, David on Who says destroyed Cassandra. But for me as a kid, I used Destroyed Cassandra as the brain of Morbius. That's how my weird brain worked as a kid. I was definitely one of those strange kids. I wouldn't say there's a pointless figure, because in years to come, that pointless figure may help us get a beloved character. Like Toby Zed could easily become a Stephen Taylor figure. So I think it's one of those things that every figure has served a purpose. Even Laszlo has the potential to become Adric. And I don't really like blaspheming the figures. But most memorable one, I think K1 Robot. K1 Robot is probably the most memorable one for me because Christmas 2008, getting all the Wave 1 figures and then building the K1 Robot, it's just beautiful. And I think, I mean, maybe memorable getting my first Third Doctor figure, to have my Doctor as a figure and to have him, to go alongside, your David Tennant figure as well. Brilliant. Why don't you go and play with it? It was good. I have no idea. I hope we get a new roof to make it a little bit more accurate, and I think we need a reissue of Joan Delgado's Master and more Third Doctor figures. You, as someone who is clearly a Third Doctor fan, would probably agree. Yes, I do. I agree. I'd love to see a classic Silurian. And I think because we are getting a new Third Doctor variant, that allows us to have more exciting Third Doctor figures. So we can have, a proper sort of season 8 style Pertwee. That'd be great. So yeah, I'll be definitely down for like an updated sort of maybe like a colony in space figure set, because I've been watching that recently. Maybe sort of a Third Doctor from Colony in Space, Joe Grant using sort of a Sarah Jane body, and maybe the Master as sort of the adjudicator. That'll be a nice little set, really, wouldn't it? But yeah, I'll be definitely down for more Third Doctor figures. Give us a Primord, one of the ambassadors from the Ambassador of Death, the astronauts. That'd be great. Give us Agador. I'd love that. Have you ever dropped, lost, or broken, or destroyed a Doctor figure? There's been moments where it's been touch and go when these guys decide to play dominoes, especially in the Capaldi era. The Clara figure has a tendency to wipe out the whole shelf. So it's a scary moment when you hear sort of a crash, and then you open the cupboard doors and you're like, please, nothing be broken. But yeah, there's been moments where I've been terrified, where I've lost like a sonic screwdriver or a gun accessory, but found it, a couple of days later going, how on earth did that end up wherever it was? But yeah, there have been moments where I've been nearly had a heart attack. Free is also my Doctor. David on Who. Good on you. Veneva's kids uses destroyed Cassandra's brain and Morbius. Yeah, I was one of those. I'm very sorry, Luke. I'm afraid my meme got divided. Sorry, Meme King. Least favorite individual Dalek from the history of the Dalek sets combined. I think for me, my least favorite figure from the History of the Daleks set would probably be one of the 60s Supreme Daleks. I say this because I'm very fortunate to have the originals, and I personally think the original figures are better than the re-releases, especially the sort of Saucer Commander from Dalek Invasion of Earth, and even the Master Plan one. Having that sort of very sort of white grey sort of midsection, it just stands out too much, and it just loses all menace what that Supreme Dalek has. So I'd say that those two are probably one of my least favorite from the History of the Dalek set. Favorite Blu-ray disc from season 8? Do you mean sort of as in content or as in artwork for the disc? And then let me know and I'll answer it. Favorite of those old figure packs of the Dr. Davros and 2 Daleks from a few years ago? Ooh. I would say I mean, I was quite late getting the Destiny of the Dalek set. That was the second to last one I got, actually. So I think the Destiny set is probably up there because you got sort of a new 4th Doctor variant. Even though the scarf was wrong, I love the Destiny Daleks. I think that they work so well as figures. The Michael Wisher Davros is great. But yeah, actually, maybe the Resurrection set, because it's got my favourite Davison figure, because I'm a big fan of a season 21 Davison costume. The Terry Malloy Davros is great. I'd probably say Resurrection, actually, because you've got the great Supreme Dalek within there. Wonderful figure, and the wonderful Resurrection drone Dalek, which I think would deserves an update, maybe a sort of a darker grey paint app. That would be great. I love I'd say in terms of artwork, for the season 8 ones, I would say I'd probably say maybe Bok or disc 1 for Terror of the Autons, because it's the Brig, Joe, and the Doctor, and I think that's a really nice little disc art. So I'd probably say that because it's Pertwee on the disc. I've ordered some amazing custom Silurian and a 3D printed free TARDIS to go with my 7th one. Also, keep up the cool work, been sub for you for ages, and this is my new Dr. 8 account. Well, thank you very much, David on Who. Hope you enjoy the customs, and thank you very much for the kind words of the channel. Really appreciate it. Biggest figure regret. James, do you want to join? I will let you join. I'll send you the link. You can join, and we can talk all things Dolly. I will send you the link now, and we can have a little bit of a Dolly talk. Just give me a second. I will add you to the call, and then we can have a bit of a Dolly talk and talk about B&M and how we found the quest, trying to find them. So I shall just load you up now and send you the old message. If my laptop's going to work, fingers crossed it does. There you go. I sent the link to you. Be there in 5 minutes. Right, I shall hold fort for 5 minutes. Biggest figure regrets, as in, did you ever pass on a figure and became really expensive or rare? The Vesper form. That was quite a hard to get one, because at the time I didn't pick it up, simply because I had the figures already, so I didn't think about picking it up, and then trying to find it years ago on eBay was an absolute challenge, because the Vesper form goes for silly money. Luckily, I think I managed to get it for about 56 quid, which isn't too bad in the grand scheme of things of Vesper forms. So yeah, I'm very, very happy to have that. But yeah, that was probably one of my regrets, or maybe the Time Crash set, actually, because one of those, actually. The Time Crash set was, I don't think I ever saw it in the shop, so I had to try and find it years down the line when I was trying to complete the figure collection. So it'll be one of those, really. One of those for me. You can't beat your old thumbnail for your Resurrection of a Dalek figure review. That's a classic thumbnail I have, you know. Do you own any of the Doctor Who annuals from the classic era? Recently got the 75 one. It has a full board game on the back of it. So cool. Yes, I own all the Pertwee annuals. I own the very rare pink 1971 annual. I think I own the 1965 or 66 annual. I owned the the unofficial 1972 annual, 73, 74, and 75, and I think 1976. So those are the classic annuals I have within there. Would you like to see figures from the characters from Underworld? No. I mean, Underworld, I mean, not really, but it's a figure, so I'll probably end up buying it. So yeah, I probably would end up getting Underworld figures. So not that I would like them, but yeah, more figures the better, really. I think B&M needs better distro as hard amount or sort of an X amount of customer. Got the day sets, happy to have it. Can't wait for the planet set. Yeah, going to be very exciting. For that, and I can't wait to try and track down another Day of the Dalek set, because it's going to be wonderful to have another grey metallic drone Dalek. A stylish one. Would you like to see more 3.75 figures? This is a joke. I would definitely not like to see any more 3.75 figures, because yeah, they were sort of a low point. They were a low point for me within there. You got any of the countdown annuals that have the Pertwee Doctor with Thunderbirds, Captain Scarlet? No, I don't. I don't have any of the countdown annuals at all. Maybe I should track them down. If they've got Pertwee in there, then I'll definitely track them down. Have you read any of the 70s Pertwee comics? Yes, I have. I've read the reissues from Doctor Who magazine, Sub-Zero, which is a third Doctor Dalek story. I've sort of been tempted to do sort of like a video review, sort of reviewing all the Pertwee Dalek stories. That'd be really cool. And sort of the Master Comics, what we had from back in Doctor Who magazine. So I'll just let James join. Hello. How are you?
Invasion. It's begun.
Invasion of the Dolly talk. So how are
How
you?
do I sound? I can't, because obviously it's a new iPhone. Because it doesn't have
Right.
it doesn't have a separate headphone and charger jack. It needs charging, but I can't find the connector thingy, so I'm
Right.
headphoneless. Does it sound decent?
Yeah, you sound decent. You're fine. You're fine.
Good. Brilliant.
So how's the Dolly hunt been for you then? Hunting down this wave of B&M sets.
Painful.
Yeah.
No, but I got a lovely message today from a friend of ours who's picked me up the day set, so that's getting sent over the weekend, so that's fun. So that's my quest over, pretty much, when that arrives, if it arrives, hopefully.
Fingers
doesn't
crossed.
get lost. Yeah.
It's definitely going to be worth the wait, because you know.
Oh, hopefully. Yeah.
You can't not love this boy. He's beautiful.
Oh, he does look. He looks fab.
He's a stunning lad. He's a stunning lad. What's sort of been the surprising sort of figure from this wave of B&Ms for you? Because I feel like the Sensorites and the Vord are definitely up there for you.
Yeah, I think the Vord shocked me a lot with how it gets a lot of simple elements right. And now, obviously, I think me and you both, I think you used to collect Star Wars figures, didn't you?
Yeah.
I kind of get whatever, but obviously I was into the same. I bought 3.75 inch at the same time as you, like all that stuff. And we know from Star Wars toys that solid black figures that are matte are really hard to get right. Not to get technical with it all, but it's kind of a similar problem. It's all white figures are the same. Like, do you know the original Imperials? The way that the paint was on them, they would scratch so easily. It's the exact same with matte black, yet it's done in a proper plastic and or paint that doesn't allow scratching from the packet and stuff like that, because there's some Star Wars figures that you get back in the day that you'd pull out the pack and they've got like a scratch down the back of like the leg or something.
So I got that on like the Hartnell jacket where it's sort of been
Yeah,
scratched already. I'm like, I've just took it out of the box.
but you don't seem to get that with the Vord, and I think that's so cool. Like, very simple elements done right, and I think that's what's so exciting about them. I just think they look awesome. I think it proves how the memory cheats a lot, because you think their heads are bigger. There is actually one Vord. It's the second Vord in the story. I think it's the one that I think it's in episode 2. It's the one with the second circle Teletubby thing on his head. He does have a bigger head than the rest of them. But these ones, I think they're pretty accurate. But yeah, the memory does cheat. You think they maybe have bigger heads, but no. It seems to be accurate, and I think I like the little prop details. I like the breathing holes at the side of the heads. Because you don't really realise it's a full mask, do you?
No, you don't really, no.
No, you kind of think it's like kind of a half mask, but no, it seems to all have been one solid thing. Must have been terrifying to be in with how like tight it looks.
It'd be quite sort of claustrophobic as well, because I guess the costume would be quite restrictive as well, being like sort of a wetsuit as well. So
yeah,
it'll be quite a tense sort of costume as well, and of course flippers as well. You're gonna be slapping all over the place trying to.
Yeah, if you fall, like you're picking yourself up, mate.
Yeah, you're all on the floor. You're practically finished at this point.
It's a cool little prop detail that really reminds me of when the Earthshock figure dropped, and on the back it had the little nut and bolt on the back of the helmet on the panel that would obviously clip them in. And I remember Batman March at the time was like, wow, look at this detail. And like, no, it's just one of them that's like, it's a cool little bit of production history in the figure. And I love stuff like that. That stuff's awesome.
Well, it's like the Sensorite with like the zip on the back as well.
That's so
like,
cool.
That's another little. It didn't need to be there, but it's there, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, they didn't have to do it. Yeah, it's awesome. I love the scuffs on the feet. I was a bit worried when I heard that they were on there, because like, oh no, character options and weathering. You know them, like sometimes you'll have no weathering, and then on the next figure you get, it'll just be like completely just like slapped on. But no, it looks natural. It's a little fun detail. I think it maybe breaks up the blue a little bit. So no, it's awesome.
I just love how like the feet sort of are molded around it, where you can see where the foot finishes and where it's just
no, that's
great.
So cool. Yeah,
it's just wonderful.
I mentioned it to you. I think I knew the Vord would stand pretty well, but with Sensorites, again, going back to Star Wars figures with rounded feet are pretty hard to get right, because you can make them a little bit forward heavy with the molding of it. So that sometimes you'd think, oh, the bigger base, that means they'll stand better. It's not always the case with figures, is it? You know, it might flop over or whatever because it's too heavy on one side, but no, the balance is perfect on them. You can literally slap that Sensorite down and it stands, and
they're not moving. They're not moving.
It's a great shelf experience. It's not going to be like who's one of the worst on my shelves. Store is very bad. I don't know why. He's very back heavy. And
it's because their legs are so loose, they just naturally just flop, don't they?
Yeah. I think it's his big helmet as well. I don't think that helps. Yeah. But no, what do you think of the accessories? Because I don't know if it's on the actual prop, but it's this thing with the Sensorite accessories, you know, the whisks, I like to call them.
Yeah.
They've got like the little nub on the bottom to stop it from falling out of their hands. That's so clever. I don't know if it was a part of the actual prop, but like, or if it was intentional, unintentional, but no, that's such an awesome accessory because it stays in their hands. Like, it wiggles about, like the sculpt's
it's not a tight fit like the Vord knife, because they're really, really pain to get in the hand.
But no, that accessory is so cool. Like, you can, it won't move. Like, because obviously, I moved this year, and like when you're wrapping those dollies up and putting them in bubble wrap, you are praying that like Leela doesn't lose her knife, or that Pertwee loses Sonic, because my The only other pet I have is the Time Monster one. He just doesn't hold his Sonic tightly. So I was praying that wouldn't go because I love that accessory. But no, everything survived. So with the Sensorites, you don't have to worry about anything like that. It's little things they get right, and I think that's cool. I do kind of have an issue with the Vord knives, and maybe they've had to change their production methods, like in terms of like representation or whatever. But like the knives, I don't think they look like knives. They just feel a little bit like they're too rounded. They're not flat like Leela's knife.
They look more like silver candles.
They do. They remind me of a Lego syringe, if you've ever seen one of them.
Okay.
It kind of reminds me of that. Like, we'll look it up later, like a Lego syringe accessory. It reminds me of one of them. I think I was talking to Harry about it. And he was like, yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah. They're just a little bit rounded. I guess if you really wanted to, you probably fit Leela's knife in a photo shoot if you really wanted to. But yeah, well, it's not my favourite accessory.
Even sort of Leela's knife's very rounded. I guess they don't want it to look realistic, maybe?
Maybe, yeah. Because I think I might get this wrong. This might be a bit of outdated info. But I think Character's best-selling brand is Peppa Pig, I believe.
Okay.
So they have to. Obviously, it's like they were kind of like a kids' company in a way. And like Peppa Pig, that's a merchandising machine. Honestly, like a lot of people don't take that seriously, but like obviously in studies and stuff, you have to.
It's still going. Still going.
Yeah. So yeah, it's probably a corporate thing, which I can live with. That's fine. But I think Leela's knife was at least flatter, I think. But no, it's just one of them. Right, Dalek sets.
Yeah.
You are a huge Pertwee fan, and you know the production details. You know everything. What's it like to finally have that accurate gold?
It feels very surreal. Like
cool.
It's very much night and day when you put, quite literally actually, when you put it next to the original release.
Yeah,
because you just realize how wrong they got it. Like I love that original day figure, but having this, it feels like a piece of the jigsaw's been completed.
Yeah.
Now actually having
That's
it,
cool.
and you look at this and you think, God, Big Chief are asking like 280 quid, and you think this, 20 quid thing from B&M, yeah, it sort of quenches my hunger to have like a proper one of these. And like
how's the color contrast of the tone, if you don't mind me interrupting there? Like, is the original compared like to orange, or what's the deal?
I think the original one's more of a darker bronze, isn't it? Whereas I think this has got more of a pale gold metallic finish, much like how it was. I think the gold's still a little bit off in a way, because I think it's definitely more gold in Frontier. Because if you look at like the original promos, it's a very pale gold, isn't it? Like especially when it's out on location. But
it's difficult with non-existent props, isn't it? Because obviously lighting on every photo, even shots, like they're gonna look so different outside and inside. Like it's impossible. You've got to find a happy medium.
So I was just going to say, because you're big into like your figure photography, I think that these Daleks genuinely lend themselves, and you actually, if you take a photo, you think that's an actual prop. Because I took a photo of like the Daleks with the Sensorites, and I remember seeing a photo Clayton Hickman recolorized of the Daleks in the TARDIS. And I was like, that looks exactly like that for me. One of the Daleks, the way it was positioned, was like, that genuinely looks like it's a prop.
I think it was Jamie Bate on Twitter. Obviously, he's great. Jamie Bate's like, he's such a helpful and kind fan. I think he took a photo of his shelf. I think he has like 4 of the new grey Daleks, and obviously he's got a mirror behind that, so it looks like he has even more, like the old 60s technique. And I think everybody commented on that, like, I thought this was a production still from Planet, and it's like, yeah, it does give that vibe. They look like the props. Oh, it's so cool. Like, it just goes to show how grateful they must be that they got the Dalek sculpt like pretty much right first time. They've not really changed anything besides light bulbs and stuff ever since.
Well, you can notice, like, when you get a Dalek, that the sort of the front sections are becoming more and more wider apart because just the mold's getting more and more destroyed.
Yeah.
So you have to like push them together, don't you, to sort of click it back into place?
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah, you
think
have to
maybe
do
it's
that.
the way it's packaged or whatever, but it does
I have
make
to
you
do that with
wonder.
the Imperials. I think the Coal Hill Imperials, I think they're the biggest offenders, which maybe I think just due to the plastic. I don't know why. It's just they have to just use different plastics, whether what colour they're using, and it just seems to be that more chalky one. It just doesn't seem to connect that well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Imperials just seem a bit more brittle, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that right? Yeah.
No,
I
I
mean, I
think
know it's
that's
B and M,
accurate.
but it just feels like you look at the '60s ones, you're like, oh yeah, that's got a bit of weight to it. Whereas the Imperial ones, you're a little bit scared to
I
touch
feel
it
you
in a
could
way.
throw a 60s Dalek down the stairs and it'd be fine. They're really robust. Like, it's shocking. Like, I picked up the Chase variant from last year, which I like. I'm fine with that midsection because I don't care.
All right, okay,
And
little
like,
miss.
it's such a sturdy toy, and I'm like, wow. And I picked up the original Chase, and I'm like, these ones feel heavier now. No, I think that's cool. No, but I'm not that. I wasn't that bothered about the midsection just for the simple reason of it's one of those things that's our character's control. There's nothing really they can do because the mandate seems to be that every figure released must be different in some way compared to a previously released one. They can't really do one and the same. It's like how I'm sure you've mentioned on the stream about the back section of the midsection on the Power Daleks being silver, which it seems
There you go.
unnecessary if you don't know about that quota, which it's very easy to just guess, and it's it speaks for itself. It's one of them, isn't it?
It's sort of amazing that character. I think maybe it's a way of boosting sales by giving people like me who have the originals an incentive to go and get them again.
Yeah.
It's not like Hasbro with like the archive range where it's a straight up re-release of a figure what's just been slightly retweaked with maybe like a photo reel or whatever.
Me and you have spoke about this before, but it's the 2014. That's when the B&M range kind of started, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And one of the first sets made was the Fourth Doctor set with City of Death Tom, D84, and Peter Pratt's Master. And you have that, don't you? And I think I remember being like, maybe I should customize the Peter Pratt Master. Maybe I should sell it. And then you're like, oh yeah, I can't part with it because like the paint's like slightly different. It's a variant. So
why are you exposing me?
No,
but it's got more of like a silver wash to it, isn't it? Like a grey wash. It just makes it not less blocky like the original, really.
And it means you don't have to take the Sasha Rastlon off if you want a bit of variation on your shelf. Because that sash is a dangerous thing to take off. Like, mine's already a bit split at the top because of that stuff, but yeah.
I've never attempted it because I'm like, I probably would never get it back. I'd never get it back. I mean, I've got the B&M one now, so I've quenched that hunger.
It's cool to put on Rastalon, but like that's about it. That's as much fun as you get out of it.
It's like when I got the Night of the Doctor McGann, I was like, I put the John Hurt head on it. I was like, was it worth it? Just to see? Probably not.
That's amazing.
That's a bizarre thing to do. Don't recommend
Did you do it. At what cost? What did it cost?
Paint Rob.
Yeah. Do you feel you've spent more money in train fare going to B&M's than you have on the actual sets?
Probably. I think this has probably been the longest one I've been hunting them down.
Yeah.
Because I've been, to I think 3 different B&M's in one day and no luck whatsoever. It's bar the one what I went to on Monday, they had all 4 sets. It's mostly been either the Marinus set or the Sensorites. I've never seen like all 4 until Monday when I got, the Daleks. It was, it's just weird. You think that they'd have a delivery of all of them together. I can understand when we were getting like 8 sets where you would get your figure packs and maybe a Dalek or a TARDIS. But now, because the waves become a lot smaller, which, I'm grateful for because it's cheaper. And I guess maybe it's an excuse to buy a few more Daleks, but
absolutely.
It's I mean, you definitely went crazy on the Chase one, didn't you?
Yeah, because that was that figure. Oh, when was that? 2013?
Yeah, 2013,
The
2014.
original one. That was around the time I stopped really collecting Doctor Who toys, because I think me and you talk about it a lot, like that Forbidden Planet era. It's like, a lot of kids couldn't really afford to get like those £34 sets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you kind of just lose interest in figures in general and put your money somewhere else. I think me at the time was like, I think Black Series had just started, so I was like, oh yeah, Darth Vader, it's cool. So obviously that contrasts over to like the single carded stuff, because I'm not really collecting figures anymore. I don't really need to spend £12 on a Dalek, which it's not like anybody could have gotten that Chase Dalek if they wish, because that was quite literally the Chase figure of that wave, wasn't it?
That wave, I don't really remember seeing much in the shops, actually, to be honest.
I remember the videos and reviews at the time, and maybe if someone goes back and watches Batman Watchers review, I very much swear he says, yeah, this was on Forbidden Planet's website for a day. Because back then,
It's mental.
You'd order off Forbidden Planet International, which isn't a thing anymore, is it? It's more like a news site, isn't it? I think it exports comics and stuff, but not in like Doctor
The
Who.
stores are still open, but they've just got rid of the online presence, I think.
Yeah. I loved that website back in the day because it had better delivery than the main Forbidden Planet website.
That was the one I always used when it would come to like the figures.
Yeah, FPI, I got my SFX Revelation off. And I remember that arriving within like a week.
Oh, I got mine from like Argos back in the day. Yeah.
Oh, that's such a weird like that's doesn't exist anymore. That's so weird. Not Argos, but just like Doctor Who toys and Argos. Oh.
It's because you have to do like the awkward thing of like, you have to say
that's
to
the
view.
Wrong colour Dalek.
You're like, can I view the Daleks just to see what one they had? And I remember the Revelation one being and then you have to do that awkward one. Sorry, I've got that one. And like it's just that walk of shame. But they brought up like the conveyor belt. You're like, oh no.
Oh no.
Because
it's like your mum. She's like, she's just like, but why do you need another one? You've already got one, yeah, but it's like, oh, this one's got a slightly different hemisphere colour.
And she's like, what have I brought up? Why have I made this monstrosity? Oh gosh.
It's a downward spiral.
The B&M stuff definitely is. Like, I'm too deep in it now.
Yeah,
to turn around. No. Like the K1 robot, I thought, you know what, I'll probably pass on that. But knowing me, I'll get FOMO and I'll be like, oh, can't get it.
Fear of missing out. It's the worst.
Yeah. So like you see it all on Twitter, you're like, I should get it.
Have you spoken about the possibility of revised sets for this? Because I don't think they're going to happen. Just because from lists that look like are coming true, it looks like that winter wave in November's happening. And that's usually the time that revised sets are released.
Yeah.
Just going out on a whim here. The last lot of revised sets, like the 13th Doctor's set, the Terror of the Zygon set, the Fourth Doctor Pain set. I kind of would like to think last year's revised sets were the best selling revised sets, because I think they nailed the format like better than ever before. Like, it's not just we've got Tom Baker's legs right. It's like, okay, here's a new Fourth Doctor figure. Here is one of Romana 2's best outfits. And here is like the best we can do, the Mary Tam outfit, which, I think that's a fab variant. I think they made the right decision with that figure.
What's interesting about that wave was they were meant to come out with the summer wave as well, but because of COVID, they pushed that back.
Yeah. It makes you glad it was maybe just a little bit spread out a little bit, just because once it rolled around Christmas, those bad boys were £8.
I think because they were spread out, it made people more inclined to double dip, because if you had the two companions of the Fourth Doctor set, you'd go, well, that's got the better Romana and Sarah in, so I'll pick that one up over the other one. So I think that they were crafty with the way that they did it, because obviously Mary Tam Paracroll way better than the Pirate Planet one. And I've got a soft spot for the season 11 Sarah as well. Like, there's just,
It's
even
a
though
fab figure.
it's completely wrong, but it just goes so well with the Paladin Pertwee. Like, it works so well.
Yeah, she's a neutral Sarah Jane, and I think I've said like loads of times, that figure, if that came out in 2008, she would have been in every single Fourth Doctor action figure adventure. Like, she just would have. Like, everybody had to use the school reunion one because that was like the closest thing we had to Sarah Jane. That's like, I just look at that figure next to her and just like, I'm so grateful we have that variant. So yeah, like revised sets and stuff like that. Did they do them for the 3-packs for the 2019 wave? I don't think they did them for the Daleks in early 2020.
Yeah, they didn't. No, they didn't do like a revised Silver Nemesis one, did they? No. I think if they were to do revised ones of these,
yeah,
I think you're looking around February, March time.
I agree, because I don't see them coming out alongside. Oh, well, they might, but obviously with deliveries and stuff being all funny, I think maybe they're in the same situation where last year, obviously COVID and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a good call.
But I think as well, there's no need to revise them because I think Alduar said in like the Sensorites one that you can customize. Well, if he's saying that to customize is when character aren't going to fork out and do that variant because people are going to be making it themselves.
Because the only thing I think is maybe it looks like we might get revised sets. I don't know why you'd release Ian as the only First Doctor companion. It feels... He feels like an incomplete figure to me. In my honest opinion, I was a bit disappointed with the Ian figure. I think it's all down to the tie. It's very obvious that tie. It's not... I don't think he ever won that tie.
I think it's down to that recolorization for like the Doctor Who website, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's what they've done for it.
I wish maybe they just did like a green tie with like some black highlighting and stuff, sort of accurate. Like, it just feels like a big set of block of colors just to break up the black outfit, and it just doesn't look right. What the line in Bad Wolf, the color makes the black look cheap and the black look boring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I think what doesn't help as well, Ian's arms are a slightly different color to like the actual PVC of the suit.
It's always a problem, yeah.
They don't quite match well enough, to be honest.
Yeah. So again, I kind of think maybe we might get a revised version of one of the sets where where the Hartnell and Ian are swapped out for Ian and Barbara. And like, I feel the episodes they've chosen, Marinus and Sensorites, obviously, I think they have a really good selection of outfits for Ian and for Barbara and Susan, I should say, because Barbara in Marinus wears her Web Planet jumper, which I think also appears in the chase as well. Like, that's her iconic outfit, isn't it? Like that was
everyone's
jumper.
custom of Barbara, wasn't it? Like Battle March.
Yeah. And with Susan, she's got like this kind of like white blouse on with like it's basically a kind of like a cross between her Coal Hill outfit and something a bit more neutral. So it kind of fits every appearance of Susan, her outfit in Sensorites.
I was thinking for Susan, maybe repaint Bill and you get like a Dalek invasion of Earth.
You could do that, yeah.
I don't know if that's more iconic, that stripy top. I don't know. For me,
you could do whatever, yeah. Like I think Susan's a pretty free character to do, but again, they seem to be okay with new PVC pieces from what we've seen. Obviously, I think the biggest shock was Romana's vest in the revised sets last year. Like,
and even a new head sculpt as well for it.
Yeah, that
which
was
they didn't need to do, but they did.
Oh, it's cool. But no, that's what's cool. Like, it ignites a kind of love. It reignites a love you've had of Doctor Who, and it just gets your brain going. Like, oh, wouldn't it be great if we had this? Wouldn't it be great if we had this? And then, like, that's all you talk about with anyone. It's like, but could you imagine being able to do this? And like, you're all sharing like set photos and stuff, and like, oh, but what this? No, that's the best thing about the B&M wave. Like, it allows you to look back at episodes you've maybe not really either looked at before or looked at fondly.
It was
and
like on
reassess them.
Twitter. As soon as the Sensorite set was announced, I saw a load of people going on BritBox, checking it out. And
Yeah.
it's amazing how everyone's become an expert on Sensorites. I mean, who would have thought it, you know? It's absolutely mental.
Because there's still two variants they can do. There's the one with the black collar, and there's obviously the one with the single sash, which, again, I don't think they'll do. I do think it's I think it's very weird being like, oh, customize it yourself, but also at the same time it's like, oh, but they can buy two, and you know, these will do it. They'll buy anything.
Yeah, they'll do it because, you know, we're hungry because we get so little. We have to make with what we've got, really, don't we?
Yeah, and again, like you reassess waves from 2017, 2018, things that like must buys, and you look back and you're like, that's not compared to what we get now. Like, you could never imagine a Sensorite back then. Like, that's a victory. That's like a brand going strong. That's awesome.
It's like 2018, how so excited we were just the prospect of a Talons of Weng Chiang Fourth Doctor and a Third Doctor and TARDIS. That was just the pinnacle of excitement.
And the Capaldi set as well. It's like, oh, they've messed up Missy, but it's a brand new build figure that we've never had before, and Capaldi in his most iconic outfit.
Sadly missing the waistcoat.
Yeah, almost.
I think if they were to do a Capaldi now, I think they would go the extra mile and give us that waistcoat.
Exactly, yeah, they absolutely would. And who's to say we might not get another 12th Doctor set? We got the 12th Doctor last Christmas, and the very forgotten Magician's Apprentice set. So, you know, we might get something.
I feel like that one just sort of, it's wrong to say shelf warm or peg warmed.
Yeah.
But compared to like the Coal Hill School set, which I never saw in the shops, that the Magician's Apprentice one just seemed to hang around a little bit too long for my liking, personally.
Yeah, I think again, kind of going back to the reason, like, it's kind of connected, but do you know the kind of reason? Oh, I see a lot of people being like, oh, I forgot that set existed. Yeah. Obviously, distribution was terrible, but also I think December was a very scary time, like COVID-wise, because we were going into were we going into lockdown 2 or 3? Might have been 3.
I think it's 2, because 3 was like January, wasn't it, where we just got shut up again.
Yeah. And I remember uni, like, obviously that was all changing, and like scary times, like you didn't want to go B&M and look for Doctor Who dollies. Like, you just didn't want to. Like, it was a big step for me to kind of just get in the car and go. And luckily I got lucky. I managed to get both of them for $12.99 because Christmas stuff, everything just goes on sale. Like, if it's new or not, B&M don't care. Like, they're getting that profit anyway. Yeah, so a lot of world factors and a little bit historic, I guess, because I think it's a figure set that in 5 years you can maybe show off, and people are like, oh, I didn't know that came out.
I think you said to me, it's amazing, like, you look at people on Twitter, how people have just built a Doctor Who figure collection from the B&M stuff, and I think that's really heartwarming that generation of fans are getting a chance to collect these figures, and I think that's the beauty of these re-releases in a way.
Because I'm getting to collect a few variant. They've done a few re-releases, especially like that 2017, 2018 wave. That was great because I got the chance to pick up some figures that I hadn't been able to have the chance to get. Like the Tomb Cyber Controller, I'm not the biggest fan of it, like the B&M version, but like I'm glad to have a Tomb Cyberman like controller, because that was like the amount of
it's a set piece, isn't it? That figure,
precisely. And obviously with the new figures, then you can just expand your collection bigger and whatever before. Like I've shown you a pic of my collection 2018. It was like one shelf, and now I've got an entire bookcase because of B&M figures, and like because I went mental at the Time War Daleks, of course. So,
those Doctor Twin packs.
Yeah, I've got 3 of the Axis Strikes, 3 of the Interrogator Prime. Yeah, I'm still on the hunt for that illustrious scientist re-release with the War Doctor.
Which is probably the best War Doctor figure character I've done, in my opinion. I think that.
Yeah, it's the one Miles used in his War Doctor AFA this year, wasn't it? Which was great. You should watch
that was a good animation. Yeah, that was a good one.
I see. That's cool. It's like maybe he wouldn't have thought of doing that without the War Doctor being in B&M. You know, it gets the brain ticking. It ignites.
Yeah, I can't wait to see like Vord or Sensorite figure adventures. Like it's almost a shame that Batman March isn't doing the figure adventures, because like look at the possibilities we have now of him doing, like, it's just, I want to be in that universe where he's making those figure adventures.
I wonder, maybe some people watching like, oh, why they mention the guy Batman March, or maybe if they know Batman March, but like why they talk about Batman March? And it's like, that guy to us is just, he's YouTube royalty, like not even YouTube royalty, like, because I think maybe YouTube series or whatever, that's been like a diluted term, but like that guy, it is just royalty to me and you, because like I would not be the fan I am without Batman March telling me about those episodes, about those production details, about just informing about what figures were coming out, because the Doctor Who merchandise site was a thing back then, but like I got my info about what figures were out from Batman March's reviews.
I think
because
for me,
obviously social media wasn't as big as it is in 2010. So you don't get the news as quickly. Go on, what were you saying about 2010?
I think for me, he made me look deeper into the figures and check the quality, because before, as a kid, you see a figure, you grab it, whereas he made you as a fan go, stop. You want to make sure you're getting something good. You want to make sure that you're paying, Forbidden Planet prices. Make sure you check that you are getting the best in that shop.
Yeah. And like, and now look at us, we're doing the awkward crouch in the toy aisle of B&M, but they're on the bottom shelf, and that you're looking through 10 identical Ians to see which has the best grey wash in his hair.
Oh, and then your girlfriend's like, what are you doing? And you're getting weird looks by passerbys. Like, oh no, what are you doing?
Because it's like, but like this Ian, he's got like a bit of a wonky eye, but this one has like a little mark on his lip. But then this one has like a little bit of paint drip off the hair. So like, which one do you get? What's the in between one?
I was combing through like the Sensorite sets just to find the best Hartnell, because like I've seen like really jaundiced Hartnells. Yeah,
I had to look through a few Sensorite figures, but it's because of the Sensorite Elder. A lot of them have pretty dodgy washes. I don't want to say wash, highlights. Some of them look naturalistic on the beard. Some look very blocky, but every Hartnell for me actually looks pretty good. So it just goes to show, like, different batches go to different stores and stuff. Because obviously it's not all one batch.
Because I think the Power of a Dalek set, apparently later batches might have the corrected grey thing. I think it's just like the initial first batch, maybe, because like you said to me about the Ian figure having a slight variation, because you said that the first one has more detail than both the one what we have, and then I think the second one you said has more of a heavier paint taps to give Ian that baby face look.
Yeah, which I think looks a bit better. Because I think the Ian figure, what did I say to you? Like, it has too much detail.
Yeah.
Like, it's trying to be so hard to be William Russell that it's lost what is William Russell, which William Russell just had a very simplistic baby face. Like, that's just what he had.
It's a very open face, isn't it, really?
Yeah. And I think the figure just has too strong cheekbones. Maybe, obviously, but, we should just be grateful we've got a Ian Chesterton figure. But yeah, no, it's just, variants. Just, I've got to go look for now the second batch version. I was speaking to Ethan today, Sea Devil Lagoon. Did you know the Supreme Dalek from all the way back in 2008 had two variants?
The Stolen Earth one?
The Planet one.
Well, the Planet one?
The first version had a glossy skirt. The second version had a matte skirt. And Ethan had the matte skirt version, but he sold it.
Blooming heck.
Yeah. So I've never seen that variant before. It just goes to show, like, different batches, different paints. Oh, we've run out of gloss, so just run the matte, you know.
Because I know, like, Cassandra, like, the rare Cassandras, I think, got brown eyes instead of blue eyes. It's just stuff like
Really?
that. Yeah. Like, there's a Cassandra,
I've never
when it
heard of
first came
that.
out. Yeah. There's Cassandra of, like, different eye colours.
Wow.
If you want to be that. Like, there's just subtle changes. What, like, I never realised there was another variant of the power drone from the sound
Oh, come
effects
on.
wave.
What's the difference?
I think it's got more of a grey wash instead of like a block silver in it to
Oh,
really highlight sort of the mesh. I mean, Ethan probably knows. He's probably got the variant because like he knows his 60s Daleks.
that's
But
ringing a bell now, actually. Now you
for me,
mentioned Ethan.
yeah.
I
So
know
for
exactly what you mean now. Yeah. It's in the
like
in the mesh.
for me, I can't really tell because I've tried looking on eBay just to see if I can find it, just to plug a gap in the collection. But
It's the
I don't know.
B&M 2017 third. Oh, I don't know. It was the third set with Delgado. There was two variants of Joe in that outfit, wasn't there?
Yes,
One with
yeah.
smiley heads, one with the neutral head, and yeah, like imagine I've dipped in and out of trying to look for them, and it's just like it's impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember, like, when we went to Affleck's back in May, like, we were skimming through just to see if we could find, like, obscure variants. Like, oh, that's a very
Yeah.
much. We were looking for, like, the Joe variant or, whatever, really.
Mm.
Because that's the type of Batman March fan you become. Like, he makes you be this pedantic. He makes you look deeper into
Yeah.
the world of plastic. And, yeah, they become so much more than, something, what, you stick on the shelf and admire,
No. Bless my mum. I'm like, just say, it was like August last year when the 2020 wave came out. I was like, can you just look for the best figure? Because obviously, like, we were cities apart. You have none in my area. I can't get on that train. You're going B&M anyway for apocalypse supplies. Just have a look for me. And I get a ring back being like, oh, we got the ones with the best packaging. And now I have a Sarah Jane with wonky eyes, which I had to buy another one for. And I have a proper Sarah now. But yeah, it's one of them, isn't it? It's just,
it is.
It just shows you. Be that awkward person in the aisle. Don't be harassing staff though. That's just weird.
Yeah, don't bombard like the phones and everything. Or
No,
it's either they're there or they're not there.
Yeah.
Really.
In my area, they took the phones off because everybody got their hands on the number. And they're like, "What are you ringing up for?"
I guess COVID was a bit of a blessing for B&M because, like, we can actually unplug from them nutters.
Yeah.
Because you always get it when you go to a till when they're like, "Oh, is that them new Doctor Who things? We had some people come and get them. They cleared in like half an hour." Like, yeah.
Nobody on this planet is paid well enough to deal with nerds.
Oh, especially when you go to like Comic-Con. My God, personal hygiene non-existent for most.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, let alone just people swarming to B&M asking, "Have you got this Dalek set, please?"
Because obviously, like, we just sell biscuits. It's like,
yeah, they don't specialize in it. But I don't know if you've heard it, but Owl's been a bit peed off with them leaking it all. And I think apparently,
I would be as well. Yeah, because
apparently
we had another sack leak, but we're not going to mention which one it is just for secrecy or whatever, because they work hard on those figures. But yeah, I'd be really annoyed. Like, it's your life's work, it's your passion project. It's not going to affect anything. Like, it's just not, like, because the deal's already done, it makes money, whatever. But it's just that kind of, it's the deflation, isn't it? Like,
I think
me and
that's
you
my
were talking
problem.
about it, the hype.
Yeah.
Because you already know what figure's coming. And then they're announced officially, and then they take another month, which they can't control. And it's just like, it affects everything.
Because I think I was scared that I'd get these sets, I'd put them on the shelf and be like, that's nice, and then move on.
Precisely.
I
feel I've done that a bit. Like, because I feel I play with them a bit more. Like, I say play, like, I'll just have them, I'll have them on my desk and stuff like that. But They did go straight on the shelf, but every night I kind of just look at the Sensorites of the wall and like, you're cool.
I'm glad I picked it up for you.
Yeah, but no, I'd be upset with the league, Steph.
I think the B&M stuff, I think, are planned like at least a year in advance, aren't they?
They've got to be.
Or at least like a year or 2 years ahead. And apparently that he's on about cutting ties with B&M and moving elsewhere. So maybe that implies that they go character online, which be handy.
It's one of those things because online delivery in the world we're in now, best thing. Like, give me it. But what we're in a fantastic situation with B&M is that they focus in cheap toys.
Yeah.
We get 3, more or less, brand new figures for 20 quid. That's unheard of. I don't think you really get anything like that. A Star Wars 3.75-inch figure will take you back 15 quid nowadays. They used to release for 7. Because it's just the way the world is now, the collector's market, whatever. The B&M range, I have my issues with it. I don't like the amount of stock that there is. There should be more. I don't like how inconsistent the stores are. And maybe some better memos can go around to be like, just to make your life a little bit easier. Staff,
like a sign on like the actual aisle going, sorry, no Doctor Who's yet. Or whatever.
That'd be fantastic. Imagine that. Imagine that outside. Doctor Who fans, go away.
There's nothing here.
No, but
move on.
Obviously, I think it's fair for people to maybe push for online delivery, but I think also you need to take a step back and just be like, do I really want to be paying 35 quid for 2 packs again? No, you don't. Leela and Store. Now, right. I like that set. I paid £70 for that this year.
There you are, complaining about 35 and you pay practically double.
How much was that when that originally came out? Was it in the 25s, like the Planet of Fire set, or was it 35?
2011, they put it up by a quid, so it was £26.99.
And now you get an extra figure for that. Like the Sensorites and Hartnell, to me, that is the exact same tooling that went, and maybe even more tooling than went into Store and Leela, because Store had a different jacket, he had different helmet, face sculpt, everything else was the same. And then you've got Leela, it's kind of like a different outfit, but it's tooling, you know what I mean? And now we're getting that exact same tooling. We're getting those new heads for cheaper with a new figure.
I don't think the quality suffers as well, because I feel like the build quality on like the Hartnell figure still stands up against like the Forbidden Planet ones personally. Like it's not like, because it's in like a budget store, you think, well, they're going to be a bit more brittle, they're going to break. But honestly, they're still sturdy old figures, really.
And they revise production quality. Again, I get so many people saying, what? But 2017, that 3-pack, it's like, it was the 2 Cybermen and the Sontaran. It was a new series one. And loads of people just threw that new series Sontaran figure away. I love that figure. It is one of my favourite Doctor Who action figures, because as a kid, the build quality of those Sontarans, those new series Sontarans, were awful. You could not play with them. Their feet would fall off. They would fall apart at the midsection. They couldn't really hold their guns. And don't even get me started of trying to play with Commander Store with his helmet on, because that thing will fire
They wouldn't
off.
fit. They wouldn't fit. They would never fit right, would they?
Wouldn't fit.
They'd just pop off.
They fixed the helmet in that Series 5 set. It was a Toys R Us set. It came with like loads of toys for like, I don't even know how much.
It was like a 6-pack, wasn't it? It was like
Stone
Daleks,
like
Stone Roman.
Yeah, it was insane. You don't get that now, but like, so B&M, what they did, they tooled with that sculpt. They gave a Sontaran figure with an amazing shine on it that just makes the original figures look so dull, and feet that just don't pop off easily. and the helmet fits on, you can rattle him around, and if that helmet does not come off, like that to me is like a cornerstone of why the B&M range is fantastic, because I am a person who grew up with the new series Sontarans as the Sontarans. Like they were cool to me as a kid. Maybe the stuff they could have done differently, but I will still always love that design, and I think that's cool to have an action figure form. And then think of all the other figures that were released in the past that were disappointing. The Revenge Cybermen. Lots of people avoid that set for the simple reason of they couldn't be bothered spending 35 quid on figures that would have literal hairs in the paint and scratches and whatever. They could re-release that tomorrow and it would be infinitely better quality. Like, that's just the stuff you have to think about.
I think 2010 was probably like the worst for quality control, and I think going into like mid 2011 as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because if you look at the original 4-pack Remembrance of a Dalek, so it's like
I was just
concept,
thinking about that. Yeah,
that concept of that set's so brilliant, but how much went wrong? So it makes you excited for when we eventually get to the History of a Dalek set to see what they do.
Yeah,
with that, whether we get, we can properly get a Renegade Dalek and a revised Supreme, really.
Imagine. And the way that, of course, we now have an accurate as possible Imperial. We don't have the blue eye anymore. That's fantastic.
It's just simple changes like that what just makes you so happy. Like, it's like, why could you have not done that from the beginning?
Now, I'm going to throw a concept out there. Okay. When we eventually hit that Remembrance of the Dalek set, what if we get a Special Weapons Dalek with good weathering? Imagine.
And maybe, I mean, I could see them doing like the light. It's like from Which is Familiar, like the...
Yeah,
I can see them trying to make... Yeah, I can see them trying to do that with it.
Yeah, just like paint it.
Yeah, I can see them sort of doing something like that just to make it stand out, and because character like a variant, so it gives people a chance to double dip and gives people a Special Weapons Dalek, really.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I think I'd be happy with that. I say this as someone who owns the sound effects one, but yeah, that's cool.
I mean, you can't say no to those.
Just about, do you know, because you mentioned like character online exclusives and stuff, which what do you want from that going forward? And what was your thoughts on the Abominable Snowman set? Because I think me and you were kind of a bit opposite sides with that set.
Yeah.
Which I think's great because that allows us to talk about different points. I think that's cool. So, like, walk us through all that.
In terms of the Abominable set.
Yeah. And what you want going forward and stuff like that. Whatever.
I think the Troughton figure's a highlight for me. Because it's that prototype image, isn't it? It takes you back to little 10-year-old James and Ben going, wow, I really want that.
I was on holiday when that leaked. I remember.
And you get excited, when a Forbidden Planet set's released or announced, you're like, oh, it's not the Second Doctor and Yeti. So you kind of have that disappointment, and it's a beautiful figure, and it's very chunky. Like, it's a figure what you think will be really top heavy. But it stands up really well.
He stands out against all the other Troutons, doesn't he? It's so strange.
Like, I was a bit umming and ahhing about the texturing of the coat.
I was the exact same, yeah.
But it's one of those ones where it looks really iffy on like the promo, but in hand it's like that works really well. I see what they've done there.
It's cool.
I will say it's a bit of a shame that they didn't paint the string.
That annoys me for the price tag, yeah, defo.
For the price tag. I like that they went all out and did like the indentation of where the string cuts into the coat itself.
DIY string painting.
Yeah, it's a simple thing. You're paying, 35 quid for it. Give it a little bit of a definition there. But I think
35 or 40? I thought it was 40.
Oh, 40, yeah, 40, my bad.
I was thinking 5 a postage as well.
Oh, no, it was free delivery, wasn't it? Because it was over 25.
Oh, was it? Okay. I'm a liar.
There you go. But I think for me, the TARDIS was what sold it for me, because it was something what I wanted from the B&M line, personally. When we got the War Games TARDIS, like, that's nice. We've got a new lamp, but it's not what I wanted from a second Doctor TARDIS.
I think it's all about the color of that box, isn't it?
It's the color, and I think
it's the TARDIS.
Yeah, and I think because they've gone the extra mile and give us a new door and a new sign, that's what the Troughton TARDIS is. It's that sort of slightly battered prop, and I think that it just is that, and it looks like a little model you'd see float down on like blooming from Fury from the Deep on the Sea. It genuinely has that quality to it, and I think having the light, it didn't need to be electronic, but I'm grateful for it because it gives people a chance to have, like we were saying earlier, it opens the door for people to have a classic TARDIS with the electronics because they haven't been released for what 10, 11 years, 12 years almost. Right. So I think that it's one of those ones. I think the weathering's great. I would have liked it to have been a bit more of a darker blue. I think that it's that sort of like the robot TARDIS where it has that sort of slight purple hue to it in a way, if you know what I mean.
I get what you mean.
But I like it. I like that I wouldn't say it's the most accurate classic TARDIS that they've done, but you can see that there's an attempt.
Any classic TARDIS is accurate. You just have to make do with it, don't you? But I don't think me and you are TARDIS nerds. I don't think
no. We're no Clayton Hickman, but we know what makes a good TARDIS and what it has shelf presence. I think that's why I like it, really.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
because it looks like a janky little prop, and that's what that TARDIS is.
Because again, it took me a while to love it. I don't think I still love it. I like it. I'd learnt to like it, but when I got it, I was disappointed because I know these things cost money. They do. The simple tooling is stupidly expensive to do nowadays. But I just don't feel I needed lights and sounds in my life. It felt like an excuse to charge a bit extra for me because I feel we've moved on from that. It's one of those things you use once and then you put it on the shelf.
Yeah, you take the batteries out because you don't want it to be corroded.
Exactly. And it's it's a collector's item that's available for 3 days on an unknown website.
Didn't it sell out quickly than the Marinus?
That's a question for that's a question for James Blowers.
Because I feel like it did. I feel like it beat the Marinus set, which was surprising considering the Marinus is more of an army builder set than the second Doctor TARDIS.
Maybe it's because word spreads, doesn't it? Oh, I didn't know they were released, or something like that.
I mean, the website crashed too. Obviously, they did right. It must have been a popular set, even though that leaked as well, didn't it? Sadly,
because if they were going to charge extra for it, do you know what I actually would have preferred with lights and sounds?
Go on.
Fixing the back panel of the TARDIS to not have the speaker grill. I would have preferred that because you can reuse that on anything, and we can have actual, speaker grills. I think I posted a meme on Twitter years ago, 2018, and it's the front of a B&M TARDIS, and in the back it's that scene from The Simpsons where Homer has all of his flab hair pinned to the back into his back. It just looks like that, and I just feel if I didn't have the ugly speaker grill, I could have spent that 40 quid and kind of lived with it because I know that it's an investment to fund future sets. And I just don't feel because that I think we'd all be surprised that they did tool a lot of stuff in that TARDIS for the lights and sounds. The base is bigger, and
it's a thinner base, isn't it, as well?
So. Yeah, it's slightly bigger than the other thinner ones, but not by much. But it's a new sculpt, and the roof is kind of slightly different as well. It's just got it's a little bit taller if you put them next to each other. So I kind of would have preferred just not doing that, and just the only tooling you did was just redo the back panel. I just kind of would have preferred that, but I'm not an expert on the logistics of figure making, but I maybe just would have preferred to spend 30 quid on that figure if it just didn't have lights and sounds, even with a speaker grill. I don't know. It felt, I don't know, especially with an unpainted string as well, which feels like a key detail. But yeah, that's just me, I guess. But that's fine because it means that people with a love for that set can open it up to people who don't.
Mm.
And that's cool because it was once I took that figure outside and I took photos of it that I started vibing with it. I still am not sure on the whitewash. I kind of think it was kind of a mistake. Just the way it pulls in some of the panels, like at the sides, I think it looks really strange. But and when it's in the crevices, though, it looks really cool. So it's one of them, isn't it?
I think the problem with the wash is that there's no set wash. It's not like there's a standard. It's very much
everything's different. It's like the Pertwee TARDIS, the original one. Do you remember that? Like some would have
gosh, yeah. So remember James Johnson literally had a clean front panel.
Yes.
And on the side it was completely weathered.
Yeah.
It was so bizarre. Really.
It just goes to show that like those washers must be applied when they're unassembled. And then that's just on the conveyor belt, and then they just grab all the correct pieces, put it together, and in the box it goes.
And then, you know, when you get like a TARDIS set and like you've got the sellotape and it peels away the wash. And you can see where it's just stuck to the sellotape. So you can see that the product's still probably, you know, not even dried. They're just put in the box, sealed up, and then off they go to B&M or to your house, really.
The age of sellotape, I'm glad that's over. I'm glad they're using those bands again. They maybe might warp the doors, but like, come on, you're not getting a strip of paint ripped off.
Yeah.
I'd rather slightly warped walls than
she's just scared they're just going to break.
Yeah.
Because they the way it just bends, you're like, oh my God, is the door going to snap?
But I guess maybe my point about the price tag of the Abominable Snap, if character options left B&M, you would be paying Abominable Snowman prices for every single thing you buy. That's kind of the point, I guess, going back to all that.
I think in terms of the price tag as well, I think for the price as well, you need an accessory.
I can agree with that. Like the balls.
The balls or like the Gantra.
Or the spheres, I should say.
Yeah. The balls, the Yeti balls.
Yeah.
Or the recorder.
Like
fair. What I find interesting is how certain figure packs or figures can have accessories and others can't. Like it was amazing at a point where only the Fourth Doctor would have a sonic screwdriver.
Whereas... Do you remember the Invasion Cyberman who didn't have his gun?
Yeah. It's so weird how they're selective, but the Sontarans can have their guns. You know, the Vord can have their knives and Sensorites can have their little whisks where, you know, Steyr can't have his little laser stick.
Steyr couldn't even have a gun. I was like, what? He's just got an
Steyr, sorry. Oh my God.
Yeah, Steyr. The too many Sontarans bring him with S.
It's just weird how they're sort of selective, but
I want to know how that works. Yeah, defo.
It's just like, is it just the budget in terms of making the figure that goes into like the accessory as well?
Oh, that's something. Zygon's Tom, is that like the first Tom Baker figure that's not the regeneration one that hasn't come with an accessory?
I think that's a point. Yeah, I think that is a point.
Oh, that's weird, isn't it? Because usually
that's a bit of trivia.
It's like a joke, isn't it? I'm so sick of Sonic screwdrivers. Like, if you don't have one, you kind of just like, where's me Sonic?
You kind of expect it, really. Like it's sort of your Doctor feels naked without it. To be honest.
Did I send you how I worked out that the Zygon Scarison control sphere fits in Tom's hand?
No.
Yeah, right. I'm always really worried of my Zygon just falling off the shelf and then that Scarison control unit just going into oblivion because like he holds it, but it's not tight. If you put it in Tom's right hand, he holds that so tightly, nothing is getting out of that. And it's the right hand for what it's stuck in. Obviously, when he's got it on him, he's not in that outfit. He's in the standard season 12 one. But
yeah,
if you have him hold the Scarison control unit in his little Scottish outfit, it's really cool.
It just completes the figure, I guess. Like it's like you give a figure. It's like the Brigadier from season 7. You give it that gun, it completes that figure's look.
Yeah.
It just that little tweak can just make or break a figure, really.
Because that was a figure everybody was like, "This is crap," and then me and you just went, "Yeah, but what if you do this?" And then we just blew each other's minds. Yeah,
and it's like it's amazing.
And I think that's what's going to happen with Ian for me when we get Barbara and Susan. Like, it's the gang. It's like Zygon's Tom. I didn't really like that until I put it with Sarah. And then I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, it's like that photo you put of like the season 12 TARDIS crew. Like how amazing that looks.
It's fab, isn't it?
Yeah,
What an
it
era of
really
figures.
is.
So good.
We're just truly blessed.
Yeah.
Truly blessed with that. But going back to like the online point, what I would like to see going forward.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. We're coming to
That's
so
all
many
right.
tangents.
That's us. I think we can start to experiment a little bit more. I'd like to see the character online exclusives go down like a Hasbro Lab sort of thing, where
Yeah.
like maybe you crowdfund it like a classic TARDIS console where you can get different panels and you can interchange and you can have like a definitive TARDIS, so it's customizable.
Mm-hmm.
Even a Bessie, or maybe I know a lot of people have got Emperor Daleks, but I'd like to see an evil set. Maybe that'd be like much like the new series Cyber Controller Throne Room, where you get 2 Cybermen and your cyber controller and everything. It'd be nice to have like 2 guards and your Emperor.
Because there was, I remember, obviously Al. I don't know. No, I don't use Gallifrey base, but obviously, I don't know. I don't know if it was years ago, but I think it was maybe like when B&M was starting up. He said on Gallifrey base, like, I'd love to do a console, a TARDIS console, but would have to charge 50 quid for it. I feel people would pay 50 quid for it now. I think I would, which maybe that's hypocritical of me.
If we're paying 40 quid for a TARDIS, what's electronic and a second Doctor, I think we can happily pay that.
Because I think with anything you love, there's going to be a level of hypocrisy to it, because you're never going to be completely objective about everything because you have your preferences. But to me, I mean, you've spoken for years, character online exclusive, 20 quid Silurian.
Yeah.
Like, you can use, like, I think I was talking, who was talking to? I was talking about do you know the Axon body?
Yeah.
You can use the torso of that and use a PVC piece for the body. That's how the Ice Warrior was basically done. Basic plastic body, PVC piece. You can make a Silurian out of that. You only have to sculpt out of hard plastic the legs and the arms.
Well, they could just use the Sea Devils in a way.
In a way, yeah.
Just and like retweak that.
Rubber PVC the head and the torso, and 20 quid for that. And I think there's a difference in paying maybe a bit too much for a Silurian, a figure that we don't have, over maybe a TARDIS variant we never really needed. With a Doctor who's had, I think, excessive variants, and I know it's a beautiful variant to have, but to me, at the end of the day, it's just a Troughton figure, while a Silurian is a completely different entity.
I think for me, I'm kind of sick of Doctor variants now. I feel like that was the B&M line. I feel like we're at a point now where we're at a delta where we're opening up to a wider variety of stuff, and I think that's why I like this wave, because we're getting monsters, and that's what I think's been lacking from sort of stuff. So for me, I'm all about the monsters. Let's fill these gaps in the collection, because to me, Doctor is about the monsters.
I think we have one gap though, and it's Hartnell with the sand-coloured pants. I just think it's what this Hartnell should have been. And Al said that in the video. He's like, yeah, I got this wrong. And I'm like, that's fair enough. That's cool of you to actually like say, hey, I messed up. And there is a photo it's one photo. I don't know how he came across it, but like there is a photo and it does look like he has red pants, but it's the way that the photo was, it's the way that the photo is just ancient. Like, it's the way that it's just aged, and like every other photo is got sand coloured, but whatever. But yeah, every Doctor has had a B&M figure besides Colin.
Yeah.
Well, that in the original classic sense, and we've not had McGann yet, but Oh wait, we have actually. We did.
Oh yeah, but Dark Eyes, yeah.
Yeah. Sure. We've had every single Doctor in a B&M set. Jodie's not been in one, but she had a very fantastic general release figure, 2 fantastic general release figures.
Yeah.
And then her companion's got the general release figure. So I guess you can kind of count that. We have had a B&M figure set of every Doctor besides Colin. I wouldn't really put the 2 Doctors set in the same category as the 13th Doctor companion set. I wouldn't really. Because that's like that's like 2 new figures. Well, you don't really get that in the 2 Doctors set in terms of companions.
No. And I've really soured on that 2 Doctors set, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, it's not the best when you look at it. I like the Stike figure, but I wish she had a stick.
That's
it,
what I
really.
mean. It's that make or break for a figure. What I said earlier about accessories. It's that thing what you want
Yeah.
to complete it. You know.
Yeah. Dollies.
We love them.
Yeah. Man. But yeah, no. HasLab, I love that. Just like a bit of crowdfunding. What would you like? Because they've kind of done it before on a small scale. Like there was the voting system that the Silurian and Jamie won like years ago. They were like, vote on what figure you want. That was kind of like a very under the radar thing. It was like, if you know,
Yeah.
you know type deal. And we never got a Silurian. We never got Jamie.
So it
But
makes you think: were the scans actually done for them? Was there actually prototypes done? Because if so,
I
then
believe that there's a lot of prototypes we don't know about.
because it feels like we're in an age now where the prototypes are becoming bits of plastic in our shelves.
Mm.
So the wheel in space Cyberman. Could we see that with like a Zoe? I'd love that, a Zoe and 2 wheel in space Cybermen package a Cybermat. That'd be a really good set.
Let's go all conspiracy theorists. But the moment we were getting Joe Grant figures and like Leela's and Aces and Forbidden Planet, I think they made a prototype of everyone, honestly. Whether it's incomplete, whether they don't have a head, I don't imagine they did a Steven sculpt. But I think that they tool around with everyone, and I think that's where the plans came back out the drawer. We got the lovely resculpt or sculpt of Romanas, which we got to see the 3D prints for, which were really cool. I don't think we've seen the ones for Ian though, which is strange.
We have actually. If you go on
Have we?
the actual design Facebook
Oh,
page, you can
cool.
see them and you can see how right they got it.
Mm.
It just we're talking about
yeah.
the sort of signing off likenesses, because obviously they've got to get approval. And I can't imagine William Russell at the age of 96 signing off like a dolly. I feel like he must have signed a contract back in like the 50th anniversary to get that.
Yeah, they've probably got everyone in writing, honestly. Like it's one of those like toys you don't. Obviously, you were talking about like development within a year, but I think a lot of the B&M stuff, they're figures that have been decades in the making. When they released that Destiny set years ago, they absolutely tried to do Romana 2. And it's only now they've pulled the blueprints out of the desk and been like, we can reuse that Sarah Jane body. And they've gone, of course. Because that's what they can get away with now. Because back then, it was all about new sculpts because those bloody sets were expensive. And now, I'm fine with reusing parts. I don't care too much. So
it's done tastefully, isn't it? I think that's the main thing. It's not like an obvious thing. Like if you're in with your figures, then yeah, you'll see that's a Sarah Jane figure. But if you're a casual buyer of the figures and you like your figures, then you're not really gonna care. And to be honest, I don't care that it's reused because I'm just all about getting these characters with their era. Really,
there is maybe one thing just in reusing parts, and I think it's something character have done for years. Like they just have, like when we got like the endless amount of Leelas and like the endless amount of Davrosses in the same year and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I don't like buying consecutive waves of figures that use the same parts. I felt a little bit cheaped out with that primeval body that was used for Yaz, Romana, and it was used on. Was it used on another figure as well, that wave? I can't think who.
I'm gonna have a... Yeah, it was definitely Romana.
Maybe
Romana
it's because
Yaz.
that we get like two variants of them.
Yeah,
and
in the same wave. Yeah,
and then we've bought.
no, it was 3 Yaz's, wasn't it? It was 3 Yaz's.
Was it 3?
No, two Yaz's, because you had the 2 fam sets, because you had like the leopard print one, then the one with the Jadoon, and then the Romana from Pirate Planet.
Because it's like I did get a little bit sick of that sculpt, and then again this year I'm fine with buying basically 2 Axon bodies, but I just have a feeling that we're going to be getting a lot of figures with Axon bodies continuously. I maybe just wish they would just spread them out more. That's all I wish for, just to make it look like we're not paying for the same toy with a different head. That's maybe just what I wish for. That's just like
That's
pet
my
peeve.
worry with like the rumored leak sets.
Yes, I agree. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah,
because it just seems a bit too similar. But yeah,
I think lots of
can't really
people will
say
be
about
happy
it.
with it. Yeah, but...
Yeah, like I'm still happy to have that, but I think we mentioned it off call that the 80s is very much silver. You know, we need a bit more. We
it's either
need a bit
solid
more
silver
color.
figures or solid black figures like Shara's Jack or whatever. You know, to quote Terrence Dicks, monsters are meant to be green. Like, there is a lot of green monsters in the 80s. I'd love to see more of them, even if it's the silly people from Time of the Rani. You know, just, I don't know. Less silver on the shelf. Again, it's a bit of it was the killer of the Hartnell figure range. That's been like the bane of everybody's like figure sets for like collections and stuff for years. Like, Hartnell is just Daleks and two Cybermen. And now
Like,
that's changing. But like, we need to get rid of like all those like silver figures and stuff like that.
it's like the history of the Dalek sets haven't helped. Like the Troughton era just looks so. Like you've got the Ice Warriors and the Cybermen, but it doesn't help because you still.
No,
It's
exactly.
just tiny. It's
Because you
really
don't have a
tiny.
Yeti.
You don't have a Yeti to break it all up. Like we've got a fur coat Troughton, so hopefully we're in a step in the right direction for it. But who knows?
Yeah. No, more green.
More
I quite
green.
like the Pertwee section. That's very green.
Like if you look at it, it's just weirdly like you get to the 70s area of the figs, like yeah, there's just such a wide variety of color.
Oh,
It doesn't feel blocky at all.
I think a surprising one of variety is the Hinchcliffe stuff. Like, obviously, I know Hinchcliffe did like season 12 onwards, but like when you hit like season 13 to 17, you like a lot of those figures maybe use like browns and stuff, but like they all really stand out per their detail. Like the Vought robots, gorgeous figures, stuff like that, you know. And guess what color that is? It's green.
But you can mix and match because you got a silver and you got your dumb Vox as well.
Exactly.
So
and then when you get
just
the
blend
80s,
well.
it is just a lot of aces. You've got a
load of
Centauri
McCoys.
now. You know, you've got your Ainley Master, all your silver toys and Cybermen and stuff like that. And obviously, I don't think Davison, it's a lot of beige. You know, Davros, and you know, it is kind of a solid black figure with his baser next to the Supreme with grey Daleks. You know, you need more color. That's the 80s. I think is going to benefit, but the problem is they're so complex.
Yeah, so intricate, and you feel like maybe they benefit the online treatment, but then you might be paying a little bit extra, but it'll be worth it in the grand scheme of it all, really.
Yeah, definitely. But no, it's just consumer talk, isn't it? It's like,
yeah,
we can praise these all day. It's funny, isn't it? Because what were you like? Oh yeah, I have no problem with reusing parts, but the problem with really reusing parts.
We can never be happy though. That's the thing. Like
we can't.
We're like, oh, Sensorites are great, but I would have liked them to have actually done like the actual stethoscope or whatever, really.
Yeah, because on the I did see the scans for that,
Yeah.
and it looked like they were planning to have it be a rubber accessory, which would have been awesome. But we don't play with dollies all day. We only play with them every other day now. So maybe
I think as well, my problem with that, and I don't know if this is me looking too deeply into it, but the articulation would not allow it to click onto its forehead, though, would it?
There's a great guy called Paul.
It's not like
on
it's not
Twitter.
a double.
They can do the pose. Like they can put it on their heads.
It just doesn't seem to.
I don't know if they hold it, but they can do it. There is a way to do the arms, and they do it.
It just feels like it needs to be like a double joint in the elbow, to be honest.
Yeah, if you have a look through like the photos uploaded by, I think it's Paul Gibbs. He's done it, and he did I think he did an edit. I don't know. It might be getting the completely wrong person. It might be Ethan uploaded, but Yeah, they can do it if you manipulate the arms hard enough.
I mean, out of curiosity, would you be interested in like a deluxe version of like the Doctors? Like Hartnell can actually like touch his lapels and that sort of thing. Would you be interested in that for like go forward?
No.
No, you're quite happy with like your basic, because like you look at the Black series and like, damn, that's got a lot of movement, and like they've got a photo and like you look at what we're getting, like I'm happy, and you're like, oh, is our figures a little bit naff compared to yours? But that's Doctor Who. It's the show that could.
Yeah, movement is lovely, but I don't know if it's just me, the Batman March fan, but like the way those sculpts are done, they're iconic to me. Like it just is. Like we do get a mix, like of shoulder articulation, which is awesome. I love shoulder articulation. I would literally have it on everything if I could. But I do kind of get a bit of nostalgia that selfishly seeing, you know, Hartnell just being able to move his arms up and down, because that's how it's looked for years, and I like the look of it. I think the Doctors who need revised versions, the new series Doctors, like I'm going to be honest, like Prototype 10, oh my god, gorgeous with his bicep joint, not bicep joints, shoulder joints. And I think Jodie would benefit from new arms. Like,
I think that was my problem with the Jodie figure, because it was reuse, and I'm all for reuse, but I think when you get a Doctor like Jodie's like the flagship of that show.
Yeah,
and people are going to be buying Jodie because it's the Doctor. You want that figure
of Jodie because she was the Doctor.
Yeah. So you want to show that this is what character options can do. This is what we do with the Doctor Who license. These are the type of products we get. You don't want reuse.
I know.
The prototype had ball joints, and I think Jodie is a Doctor what has such great physicality. The way she uses the Sonic, it's like a wand.
Yeah,
you look how she closes the door in the Ghost Monument. You need that ball joint in the arm for it.
And that's good with Capaldi. They eventually did it for 2 Smith figures. Oh, no, 3 by... Oh, they did it by Series 6, didn't they?
Yeah, Series 5 you had the traditional arm, and then Series 6 you had the ball joint. Because I think 2011 is when the ball joint became standard in like character option figures.
Because I wouldn't complain about... Do you know, like a definitive tweed Batman? I just don't feel we have one. Like the definitive figure for him is that Time of the Doctor version. But I don't know if it's me because I love that packaging, but he kind of just lives in his packaging because I just really like it. Like I'll take him out every now and then, but like for a walk. But like I'd like a definitive Smith on the shelf. I would love them to redo Eccleston personally. I think there's a lot you can do since 2005 with him. You know, it's a fine face sculpt and stuff. And I think Tennant in his coat, you know, we've had enough of Tennant doing the starfish. Honestly, if they just went back one more time and did another Tennant sculpt, I would be so happy. Because when they tried to redo the Tennant sculpt post, do you know the Series 2 sculpt, and they tried doing the Series 4, I don't think they've ever nailed it. Like, just get Tennant in, scan that man's face, do whatever you need to. He'd be up for it. He'd do it for free. Give him a pack of biscuits. It'd be fine. Will I at least get a toy? Yes, David, you will get your toy. Okay, I'll do it. You know, he'll do that.
I think my problem with like the Tennant figures is when you got the spiky hair, it lost David. I think for me, the best likeness for David is the Series 2 head sculpt. Like that's 10.
The same. Exactly.
That's 10 for me.
You've got the Awkward Christmas Invasion sculpt, but we don't talk about that. But no, it has that Tennant energy. And I think a lot of that is because, again, it's a positive and a negative, I think. But you love the new series figures. I kind of don't. Because as soon as I jumped on classics, I abandoned new series figures. Like, I just did. Like, the Series 5 wave was the last one I actively bought. And I didn't even buy that actively. I bought the classics. I did buy like Oswin when that figure came out, because obviously Jenna Coleman was new, and like you got a really good variant of Smith, and of course you got the Time of the Doctor set. And when Capaldi comes out, you're like, oh, but he's Doctor Who, isn't he? You need him. But a lot of the figures kind of just feel like toys. While I think what's a crazy example is Oh, I don't know if it's sacrilege now, but some of the Sarah Jane Adventures figures, it's like the one where she has a coat on. There's very much a different feel of hair and how that body is reused on Romana. Sarah Jane feels like a toy. Romana feels like a collector's item. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I see
I
a point.
want a David Tennant that I think a part of the charm of the original face sculpt is because it looks like a toy and it has that charm. But in terms of body, I'm sick of that figure looking like a toy. I want it to look like a collector's item. That just makes sense.
You sort of got it with the Tuxedo 10, but like that figure's 10 years too late.
You can't say that's definitive. Like,
no, you can't.
Like, because it's not his main outfit. Like, we want pinstripes and that. Finally, a proper blue suit and with bulge articulation and stuff. I think we'll get it. I think they won't do it. That whatever Chinese prototype, that did not come out of nowhere. You know.
It was US market. That was supposedly,
yeah. So, you know, I would like, if we are going to get revised collector's figures, I want the new series Doctors, honestly. They're the ones that need it. Classics, I think they have their charm. Like, I think you can maybe look back at maybe, you know, like the Pyramids of Mars, Tom, and just be like, oh man, how did they paint you? But you look at it with a certain nostalgic charm because it at least has the build quality of a collector's item. And again, I'm rambling.
No, but I get what you mean, because I think the Pyramids of Mars, Tom, already feels like a definitive figure. For many, that is the definitive Tom, isn't it? Like, for me, that's when I think of Tom, that is the costume I think of the Fourth Doctor.
Defo. For me, for years it was, but I think since we got the Harry and Sarah, I look at that season 12 figure again. I'm like, man, you're sexy.
Yeah,
yeah. Because I remember Batman March had a point with the Zygons Tom, like being like, it has a lot more Tom in it. And I can agree with him on that, but I don't think it has more Doctor Who in it. And I think that season like 12 figures Doctor Who.
I think the Zygon Tom always feels like they've used like the creator sort of head sculpt, but they've sort of aged. Yeah. I feel like they've aged Tom up to be like old man Tom, because a lot of people called that Zygon Tom, like Tom Baker is your nan. Yeah. You know,
I think we did. Yeah. Like, it looks fine from a distance. He's with the Zygon and Sarah. He's happy on the shelf, you know.
That was one way you had to go deep into the shelf to get a decent one.
Defo. I reckon if you stripped all the paint off that with some paints in it, I reckon the sculpt's actually great. I think that's a result of thick paint, which isn't that. Do you remember the creator figure? I think that was the very first figure people started to notice thick paint on.
I would argue the start of that whole collector's line, because like the Capaldi suffered it. The Night of the Dr. McGann, very great figure in concept. It's just too heavy paint apps.
Because with that creator figure, do you remember Eyebrow Gate?
Oh god, it was halfway up his face.
But I look at that figure now and I'm like, what the fuck are we complaining about? Like, it doesn't look that bad to me nowadays, because I think maybe Zygon Tom looks worse. Like, that's just it. To me, that creator figure, those paint apps just don't look that thick to me anymore. But again, you know, it dips up and down in quality. You will get bad figures, you will get good figures now, but I think now the ratio compared to that pretty bad collector's line, I think you have a higher ratio of getting a good figure now for a cheap price. Like, fucking, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining for extra Benton and mustachiates, yike mates.
Like, that was a bizarre one though to include. Like, Harry in his actual costume would have made sense maybe, but hey, just a generic unit grunt. It's Al thinking about us really for
I think there's any variant of a figure you could have gone, oh, but why didn't they do this? And it's like, I think I had the conversation with you about Ian, and I'm like, maybe the figure in a black suit is just really dull, and that's why I'm not vibing with it. Wouldn't it be cool if they did his turtleneck? But I know me. If I got that turtleneck, I'd be like, why the hell's it a turtleneck? Ian is famous for his suit. Put him in that suit. And you've just got to think like that. Somebody's favourite figure is Zygon Tom, and I think that's fucking cool, because that scarf sculpt on him, brand new, awesome, beautiful. That body, awesome. Those pants are gorgeous. Like, I cannot wait for a season 12 Tom to come. It's coming. We know it is. It's got to. And he's going to have those pants, and it's going to be gorgeous. And to me, that's going to be the definitive Doctor Who figure ever.
Jeez.
Yeah. Like, we're going all the way back to 2003 with Product Enterprise, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, because like we've definitely overdue like a season 12 Tom. Like, it's amazing, like that figure was released 3 or 4 times and then it hasn't seen the light of day.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't spaced out at all.
Adventure set, TARDIS. And back in the reviews, people were like, oh, another season 12 Tom, and he's gone. He's gone, Ben.
I think that's the problem, because like characters had like a habit of just oversaturating, and then it's just like it was spaced out, like maybe one every 2 years, we wouldn't be complaining as much. But I think it got a bit of a pee take when you got to the Planet of Evil set, and it wasn't Planet of Evil Tom.
Yeah, when he had a different waistcoat, and he has the pyramid waistcoat, and
pyramid waistcoat. And I think that's one thing what I admire over the B&M sets, that they're actually more of a variant of a Doctor than you got in the Forbidden Planet line.
Yeah, that's cool. And again, with a season 12 redo, we'll get the black and green detail on that blue tie in his robot outfit, along with those speckled trousers. I don't want them to alter the colour of his jacket, but I have the feeling they'll do it brighter, and I feel that'll ruin it. But for me, it's just little tweaks with that figure, and that I think could be definitive Doctor Who. You know, it was well-rounded figure.
Yeah, I'll definitely go on the season 12 display next to Harry and Sarah and the Cybermen. That'll definitely look great.
I'll put the original one in like a case with some candles around it as a sign. To me, that figure's so special. It was one of the first figures I got. I can't put him at the back of the shelf. I can't do that because he's so many happy memories. But I know if we got a more accurate one, he's going with Harry and Sarah. So I'll have to put him somewhere special, I think. Bedside table. There you go. Kiss him every night.
Kiss him good. Kiss Tom Baker good night.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That was beautiful.
But no, it's toys. You know where you bought every single one. You know who got you whatever, what you were doing at that time. And you know, different stages of the apocalypse now with the B&M figures. Nuclear War and Alduar will still be making Doctor Who figures underground, honestly.
We'll be going out in our like radiation suits.
He's doing a podcast, you know? Have you mentioned that?
No, I haven't. With the Vortex guy, Kenny Smith.
Yeah, Kenny Smith. He announced that. I don't know when it's coming. And they're going to go through every release. And in the meantime, go over to the Host Productions and watch his 17-part series that's so informative about more or less every single classic Doctor Who release. And the ones that aren't there are filled in by Batman March as well. So go and watch that. Very cool series, very informative. It'll bring back memories that you don't even remember having, and like, but you know they happened, and like it just unlocks stuff. Because when I tell you watch this, because it will tell you where you bought your figures, and you're like, oh, I know where I bought my figures. Like you know half of when you bought your figures, because Hosty talks about the situation around Doctor Who or the television show or toys at that time. And then that'll unlock a life memory. And then it's such a fantastic piece of work. It's amazing. Watch it. It's fab. The Host Productions.
I think that's a good way to sort of wrap it up, really.
Yeah, 2.5 hours of dollies.
2.5 hours of dollies. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. It's been a pleasure you joining me tonight, James, for a little surprise.
I came to invade.
It's been lovely, my dolly pal, to talk all things dolly.
Well, it's been good. We always love a dolly talk, because
we love a gush.
Obviously, we always live a million miles away, and it's like obviously you get on with your lives and stuff, but then figures come out in the DMs like, "Hey, when are you going B&M, mate?"
And now we can go together because we're at the same place.
Literally.
Oh,
perfect.
can't wait
No,
to do the vlogs of that.
well, it's been great. No, it's been great to join you uninvitedly.
No, it's a pleasure.
But
Pleasure.
you're not saying
Can't say
no
no to my pal. Can't say no to my pal.
Brilliant.
So thank you everyone for joining us on our little plastic crack and cocaine talk. It's been lovely.
Yeah. Stay safe in dolly hunting. Don't go overboard. Wear a mask for the love of God, and sanitize when you go in B&M. Oh my God, the amount of people like walking and don't
who don't wear masks as well. It's shocking.
Oh, just do it. Like, be nice, be kind, be safe, be nice to each other. Don't like kick anyone over for them. Unless like you see them having 5. No, seriously, don't. You can mildly shout at them. Oi, what are you doing with 5 Dalek sets? No, but
I'm
no.
army building.
Be safe and have fun. Really,
I'm buying them for a friend called eBay. So yeah, don't submit to scalpers. I'm sure you'll find them. It's just that initial panic of getting them. Give it a couple of weeks and you'll be
sick of them.
You'll be crapping Sensorites out your ass.
Literally.
Quite literally. That's my cereal of the day, with Sensorites. So thank you, everyone. We'll see you very soon. I guess for more. I guess, when we get the October line, I guess we can do another one of these, actually. That'd be cool.
Finally. October line. Oh my God, it's nearly October.
Yeah, we'll be doing this again soon. We'll be out there,
man.
sanitizing.
We'll be aged and dead soon. Jesus.
I'll have a beard like a Sensorite.
Literally. No. Let's go.
Let's do that. Right. See you, folks. Have a good night, and bye-bye.